Welcome in, everybody, to a bit of an off-day stream for Blue Otter Diamond. I'm Isaac. Alongside me today, here in Week 1, is Tokibi, bringing up you the matchup between Hyler Minions and Legacy 9.
Yeah, and should be a pretty good matchup. This is Week 1, and I'll be honest, I'm just filling in for today, so I don't know too much about these two teams, but I do know League of Legends, and I always know that Blue Otter Diamond always delivers some quality matchups, so really looking forward to casting today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coming into Week 1, it's always a very exciting time of the season as, you know, everyone's getting together. But early on, when I had the chance to ask about these teams around what they were maybe looking to do, Hyler Minions notably made playoffs last year into the second round, and they have 3 returning players between mid, jungle, and ADC, so they're ideally looking to push on a little bit. But likewise, Legacy 9, they played in Aegis and went undefeated in that regular season there, but choked a little bit in the playoffs. So we have 2 potentially high-ranking teams that might be looking to start off in a very explosive manner.
Yeah, and we're already seeing some of the drafts starting to come through here. We have Wukong locked in first for Legacy 9. Very standard pick. We see that across every single level. But interestingly enough, for high alert minions, we have the Sejuani and Mel. And we were actually just talking about the Sejuani for high alert minions off broadcast because allegedly it's always a Sejuani angle. But this is actually one of the lesser played junglers for S14. Still has 37 games just this season on it with a 54% win rate. Plays a lot of solo queue. And it does struggle a little bit into the Wukong. Just because I do feel Wukong can obviously block a lot of the abilities that Sejuani has just with the clone, with the Arctic Assault, etc., the Glacial Prison. But the Mel is going to be also an interesting pick for high alert minions. It doesn't work with the Sejuani, but obviously you don't need it to. You're typically looking to pair with that from the top lane, maybe the support. But it does give them a lot of range, and it also means that if they do find the right target with the Glacial Prison, the Mel does have the range to immediately follow up and just blow them up.
Yeah, and I do want to note with the Scion getting locked in for Legacy 9, there was an update earlier in the week that for Blue Otter Diamond, lane swaps are allowed for the first time ever. So there is a potential chance that we could see some lane swaps, whether you're an enjoyer of that or not. Might be it varies from person to person, but that is a potential option coming through, as Hyler will have the counter pick and will opt for Aatrox.
Yeah, Aatrox is pretty good into Scion, but it's still pretty standard. Scion's going to be fine going out of the lane, just won't be able to dominate the Aatrox too much unless they have like really fancy footwork and are just able to dodge every single one of those Darken Blades. But it's interesting you do bring up those lane swaps right now, because especially the lane swap meta currently, it's kind of you bring 2 towards the bot lane, you'll typically have your marksman go over to the top lane. And now bringing that into an Aatrox could be very difficult, because I think Aatrox does have a lot of reach. So if any side is going to elect to do the switch, it would be high alert minions that could consider sending their marksman up to the top lane. And they haven't locked anything in yet, but Smolder, for example, stacks super well into a Scion. And for people that don't play Smolder, you get a lot of ability haste just off of levels. So if you want quick stacks, even just spending a few minutes in the top lane, getting that solo XP, leveling up your Q further in, you're going to be able to accelerate your stacks by so much. But interestingly enough, it looks like L9 are mostly going to be just targeting out the supports and the Seraphine and Nautilus for the bans. While high alert minions, they're just going to be going straight for the Jinx and Yunara. Seems they might be a little bit concerned about those late game marksmen. But when you already have a Victor in the mid lane, I don't know how much of a threat they really would be.
Yeah, I mean, the range is already coming through from the Victor, and all that scaling as well from Victor available. But high alert minions going to lock in the Caitlyn, as there are 4 picks, saving the counter for Memer Sticks down there in the bot lane. So gonna be leaving that one around. But Caitlyn obviously a very dominant lane ADC with all that range.
Yeah, they have a ton of range on high alert minions right now. Even their engage can be done from range. Again, we talked about the Glacial Prison. But Mel and Caitlyn, they should be able to just have pretty strong control of their lanes. Now, Victor eventually will get to a point where he can just one-shot the wave and then doesn't have to interact with the Mel. But before then, she should be able to poke him out a little bit. And especially once they start contesting onto objectives, that's going to be a huge threat that high alert minions have. If they're first to these objectives, it's going to be so hard for L9 to walk into them. But they are going to lock in the Smolder. Now, it is a bit of an interesting pick for me as a Smolder enjoyer myself. It doesn't do super well into Caitlyn because it's very hard to stack during actual trades. You pretty much have to stack it just off farm. The one good thing about it is that you can push Caitlyn off of your turret. Once you get those 25 stacks, once your Q becomes AoE, you do get a lot of wave clear on the Smolder. But even with that, especially with the Karma being locked in as well on the support, they're going to have a ton of poke, a ton of range. Nico can help a little bit to help the Smolder, but Karma and Caitlyn are both still going to have a very good time in this bot lane, unless there's jungle intervention.
Yeah, obviously Karma really does add on to the amount of push that any bot lane has, but especially with that, Caitlyn will be feeling quite nice. And also, thing I like about the Karma is that with their shields also gives a lot of movement speed. With the likes of the Sejuani and the Aatrox, can potentially find good looks and angles if you opt to use it as more of an aggressive tool.
Yeah, and just looking at these two team comps, it is pretty interesting how both these two teams have decided to draft, because high alert minions, I think what they're going for is a 1-4 draft where they leave Aatrox into the side lane, and at least until the late game, no one can really match him too well. Sion can wave clear a little bit, and then eventually Victor will be strong enough to match into the Aatrox and potentially even win through the side lane. But until then, Aatrox is going to be bullying there. And then it's just going to be a poke comp with the 4 that they have left. They don't have a lot of engage options. It really is just the Sejuani. No one else can really start fights unless there's a very lucky root coming in from the Mel. As we're looking over on L9, and into a poke comp, you always want a death ball comp, an engage comp. And they have so many different methods of starting those fights. They have the sign that can go into Cyclone from the Wukong, or the Pop Blossom from Nico. It isn't always the most straightforward engages, especially with the Nico. You kind of want to find a good angle or a good flash forward. But if they're able to start a fight, I think they can absolutely blow up the Mel, Caitlyn, and Karma. So it's really just going to come down to the quality of the engagement.
Yeah, and there's just so much AoE CC available for Legacy 9 that is coming through, and that just layers so perfectly. Like you have the Cyclone circle with the Pop Blossom circle that you press one and the other one comes off it, and then you can't move for hold on top of my head, calculating about 5 seconds, because you have the second charge of the Cyclone as well that immediately gets used after the Pop Blossom. And it becomes a little bit untenable, especially as you mentioned as the game goes on with the Victor and the Smolder.
Yeah, and the issue with those 5 seconds is that Victor and Smolder won't need 5 seconds to take you down to 0 HP. The only person that might be able to survive that is the Sejuani. But even in the late game, I think Sejuani is just going to get absolutely popped. Whoever gets landed to the combo. So I think later on in the game especially, but even in the mid game, this is going to be a huge threat. If L9 is able to grab 2 players, doesn't matter which 2 players, any 2 players, they should be able to win the fights from there. Because when you have Mel, Caitlyn, Karma, you're not really going to be targeting the backline. You're going to be targeting the front line. And Sion is the true tank of the game right now. I think right now, Sion is probably the single best frontliner in the game, bar none, in terms of just being able to soak up damage for the team. So, and with the Wukong as well, Wukong can take a decent chunk of damage, especially physical damage. It's really just going to be the Mel that's in charge of getting the DPS down. And there's not too much counter engage on red side either. All they're really going to have is the Karma slow. The Tether can slow down the Wukong, but realistically, once the first Cyclone goes off, the second one should be able to follow pretty easily. And I don't know. I think that if L9 are able to find the engagement, they're going to be able to win out those fights. So it's really just going to be on a high alert minions, just preventing them from finding that engage angle to begin with.
We'll have to wait and see if high alert minions can find their way into these fights and even into the late game, or if Legacy 9 can pull out a victory here in Blue Water Diamond Week 1 in Game 1. But don't go anywhere, because we'll be back shortly after the spectator delay. We'll see you in a little bit. We have loaded onto the Rift for game 1 between High Alert Minions and Legacy 9, and straight away, L9 looking for some cheese in the bot lane.
Yeah, just going to be sending all 5 members down now. They do have Living Phoenix on the Nico, so they do have the Tango Barbs if they want to go for it, but I don't know if they've spotted everyone else. Okay, Memer 6, you can't do that.
I mean, what? Memer 6 walks forward despite knowing that the Nico is there.
Okay, listen. So, from Memer 6's point of view, they saw Living Phoenix walk forward and then go back to the first brush, and then Dead Botting walk forward. The fact that it was all 5 members wasn't seen for the Karma until they were in melee range. You still probably shouldn't be walking forward there because it's one of those situations. You either walk forward, no one's there, and it's like, okay, great, no one's there, but that doesn't do anything for you. Or you walk forward and they're all there, and then you give up first blood going to the Wukong, who gets to start with an extra longsword, by the way. So yeah, I still shouldn't be walking forward, but it's at least more understandable as
R19
really interesting start.
Camping. Wait, Decimating Smash drops its way down. Strangle Barbs drops. It's going to be another kill onto Memer 6. It's so tragic for the Karma. 2 early kills for Legacy 9, but Dead Botting taking quite low in response. But yeah, L9 really showed up within the first few minutes.
Yeah, and they're going to get a decent amount of kills there.
Yeah.
But they did have to burn the TP from the Scion to do this. And I think ultimately it doesn't help Dead Botting that much because Dead Botting is quite low, has to back away. We'll get a couple of free minions, but once the Smolder comes back into the lane, when the Karma's there, when the Caitlyn's there, they're going to get zoned out. And now the wave's in a bad spot. If Cuddlebear and Memer 6 hold this wave, Smolder's going to have an absolutely terrible time. Despite the kill going over to Legacy 9, I actually think this might ultimately benefit Ham just because of the lane positioning they have now.
Of course, what does you say that? We see that Dead Botting and Living Phoenix getting pushed completely away from said wave, but you know, with the extra gold and the recall, we'll see it's a long sword only for Dead Botting coming through, but so yeah, all the while we sit and wait around, even those you mentioned with those extra kills already. Cuddlebear starting to generate a lead for themselves in CS.
Yeah, I don't think they were able to push the wave quite fast enough, so Dead Botting is going to be able to get a decent amount of that back as Potato Senpai taking a lot of damage in the mid lane. The Mel range cannot be underestimated there, and this is kind of what I was saying will happen in this lane. Dream to me should be able to just outpoke, but has to flash out of the gravity well. Really unlucky. Try to push a little bit too far forward, but Rigor Mortis coming in.
Yeah, Rigor Mortis has arrived, but Living Phoenix already having used the Strangle Barbs, not quite going to be able to set up potential ganks. So instead, it's going to be straight over to the first Scuttle Crab there, getting picked up by Legacy 9, but it'll just be traded on the top half of the map.
Yeah, but now Vacant Tech is the one that has the wave crashing into him. And you see right there, holding the wave. Anyone that's ever played top lane knows this is an absolutely terrifying position to be in. Especially because Rigor Mortis did show in the bot lane. So they know that there is no Wukong here that can kind of dive onto this Aatrox. There's no one here that can help push the wave in. So if you set up that freeze is fully set up. And at the same time, R19 cannot walk forward because they don't know where Lest Force is. The Sejuani could be anywhere. And actually, Sejuani is going to be up into the top lane. So now R19 going to be trying to push this in. And both junglers are in the area, but the vision definitely going to be favoring L9.
Q2 lands, Q3 drops, doesn't quite find the CC. Vacant Tech having to flash away from Rigor Mortis to use the flash for himself to try to secure the kill, but not quite finding it.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good look for Rigor Mortis. I think a play like that is kind of needed as another tether.
Hold on, Strangle Barbs finds its way onto 2. Memer 6 going low as Dead Botting flashes forward to try to get the kill onto a Karma, but the range isn't quite there, and now is receiving a bunch of damage in return. One empowered auto attack from Cuddlebear, not quite enough to be able to secure that kill, but this Smolder is taken very low.
Yeah, and Cuddlebear, I don't think needed to use the 90 caliber net there. I think if, as the Caitlyn, you're just continuously walking forward, continuously auto-attacking, Dead Botting, you could definitely get a lot more pressure. You can definitely push in a lot more tempo. And most likely would have been able to get the kill as well, because if you're just walking forward with it instead of pushing yourself back, you can flash for flash and just one-shot the Smolder, because Living Phoenix is playing Nico. This is not a defensive support. This is an aggressive support. She has no shields, no healing, does have the Tango Barbs to kind of peel a little bit, but she's already used them. So if you're able to just continuously poke forward towards the Smolder's just going to die. But when you play passively like this, when you let them scale up, when you let them just kind of walk away from engagements that frankly should kill the dragon, it's going to make things a lot worse, because eventually you will get outscaled.
Speaking of scaling up, Deadbotting has managed to claw back that CS deficit they were sitting at not too long ago. Feeling relatively alright. Obviously having the extra hope of a, albeit a singular longsword, not necessarily all that great as we take a step back in general. Potato Senpai also starting to generate a lead for themselves in the mid lane over Dream to Me.
Yeah, that is a bit surprising, and I'm wondering if maybe Dream to Me is focusing a little bit too much on the poke. Though right now, seeing that there is a large wave, Dream to Me is probably not as far behind as it looks right now. Will be able to catch it up within 5 CS, but again, this is a lane where at least early on, you do expect Mel to have at least a slight CS advantage. So Potato Senpai definitely doing well for themselves right now. I assume good footwork, able to just dodge out in a lot of the poke, still able to safely get those last hits. I mean, that's definitely what you want in the Victor, because again, Victor also very, very strong scaling champion into the late game. We've seen those arcane storms that just take up the full screen, just hitting everyone, but I digress, because instead we're going to be putting our attention on a dragon. Now, this is on a ward, but Rigor Mortis is still pretty far. And Deadbotting and Living Phoenix, they both don't have a lot of mana. Neither does Potato Senpai, but they're grouping.
Not going to give it up just yet. The smite will drop onto the dragon. S14 in a bit of trouble, finds the Glacial Prison down onto the Smolder, but there's not quite enough damage just yet as Cultivator finally gets the kill onto the Smolder, but at what cost? He's very low. One empowered auto attack from Rigor Mortis gets the kill onto Cuddle Bear, and that's feats for Legacy 9, or feats of strength specifically.
I think that's still pretty good for Ham. It's a 1-for-1, but you finally do kill the Smolder. The kill does go on to Cuddle Bear. Does have to burn the flash and barrier, but again, I kind of wanted Cuddle Bear to burn the flash earlier, to be honest, just to kill the Smolder. And the wave, I'm not 100% sure, I'm just basing this off the minimap, but it does look like it is slow pushing towards Cuddle Bear. And because that is the wave state, it is worth it just to trade the 1-for-1. Because in general, Caitlyn does more with gold than Smolder. When Smolder's dead, he can't get stacks, and you're still getting the gold trade. So in general, it's always worth to trade 1-for-1 as long as it doesn't completely kill your wave there. But obviously with a dragon, all of it's definitely in favor of Ham. They're just able to sneak that one off the map, and even with Dream to Me not really participating in the fight, they're just able to trade evenly in a 3v4, so you'll always take that.
It does mean we're still relatively even in terms of gold, but in terms of recalls on items, Cuddle Bear also returning with the BF sword in their inventory, as well as you had previously mentioned the ever so favorable lane save. As we see, Deadbotting just has to sit completely alone under this tower and try to to get as many minions as he possibly can in this troublesome spot, waiting for Living Phoenix to return.
Yeah, and there's also a call on Cuddle Bear. Already has finished off 2 of the plates. I mean, this is where you want to be as Caitlyn. In general, most Caitlyns aren't going to be able to get a kill in lane. Your entire job is just push them off of lane, take as many plays as possible, get as much gold from it as you can, and that's really your entire job there. As pretty heavy trading in the mid lane, and again, Dream to Me forced to flash away from there. Just again walking up a little bit too close to Potato Senpai.
Yeah, and once again, as you said already, I mean, we saw earlier Potato Senpai forcing the flash out of Dream to Me twice now already, which is really not how you'd expect. Oh yeah, S14 has arrived, and the Glacial Prison drops its way down. Dream to Me will be able to secure that kill fairly easily.
Yeah, very good usage of that Glacial Prison. I mean, we talked about this as well off of broadcast, but one small thing that I think a lot of players that don't play Sejuani aren't really aware of, her cooldowns are very, very long. All of her abilities, yes, for the most part, they're pretty easy to land, but knowing when to use them, having the good placement of each one of them, because if you misplace one of them, you're basically useless for like 10 to 15 seconds at a time during a fight. If it's the ultimate, I think it's almost 2-minute cooldown at level 1. So the fact that Less Force was able to use it immediately to success in the mid lane, it means that there's going to be more glacial prisons that are going to be high impact later in the game, or just more that can be cast in general. And getting your Mel ahead early, someone that can poke out this hard, and obviously the Solar Eclipse just able to basically one-shot people later on in the game, especially in those team fights. It's always a good place to use it.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Rigor Mortis has arrived in the bottom lane. I don't know if he's been spotted by the high alert bot lane. They are definitely feeling that something is up as they see Potato Senpai moving towards the bottom side of the map, but the rest of high alert are arriving. The move just might be to go down onto Potato Senpai. Not quite just yet. Living Phoenix is very low, is killed before the Pop Blossom can drop. And so now Dream to Me is caught as well. We'll get the first kill onto Deadbotting with the Golden Eclipse, but immediately traded back by Potato Senpai. A laser from Potato Senpai gets another kill down. Ace in the hole, not quite finding the mark. Less Force forcing a flash out of Potato Senpai. But a very, very eventful fight through that one.
Yeah, and it was a 2-4-2 at the end of the day, so neither team really gaining a massive advantage. But with the positioning that they had, I actually thought Ham would have been able to win out on that. But Rigor Mortis is just really strong right now. His flash forced out by, I don't even know what to say, coordinates, I guess, up in the top lane.
I've been thinking R19 or maybe R19, but I mean, either way. Flash away from the Scion, not available. Vacant Tech. We haven't seen too much of this top lane so far, but obviously now sitting on that Eclipse. Meanwhile, R19 not really even having an item to their name just yet. Still looking to complete the Sunfire Cape.
Yeah, but still doing more or less okay in the top lane as a Scion. Has a kill, has an assist, and whenever you're playing a Scion, especially to an Aatrox, you expect to lose at least the early stages of that lane. As long as you're able to still get experience, and right now they're the exact same level, so that's working out for the Scion. As long as you're still able to CS at least a little bit, as long as you're not like 30, 40 CS behind, which right now, 20, definitely getting there. But now that R19 is starting to get higher up, it definitely matters less, but looks like another dragon fight.
Yep, high alert starting this one up, but Rigor Mortis is able to get here in time to contest it equally. It just might be a smite fight goes down. Lest Force landing the summoner spell a little bit earlier. Flash forward from Lest Force to find the stun, and a ace in the hole from far away secures the kill for Dream to Me. The really easy follow-up on that.
Yeah, and it's another dragon where they just get the dragon. They're there first, and L9, I think they're just setting up a little bit late for these objectives. And because of that, they're disconnected. They're not playing together. And so then Ham, first of all, just wins the 50-50 for the smite. I mean, that definitely could have gone either way. But after the smite, no matter what, that was always going to be a kill for high alert minions. They were always going to be able to get that extra +1 after the play. So again, this is just benefiting high alert minions, and especially because Less Force was able to secure that smite, that's even better for them. Now, I do think if they do group together, because we said this earlier, but this is a team fighting composition coming out from L9. And the best place to force out those team fights is around those objectives, around those dragons, grubs, heralds, etc. And with 2 dragons already gone, it is kind of pushing in their timer. Now, granted, it is a little bit hard to get set up when you're into a bot lane like Caitlyn Karma, because they're just going to be pushing out your bot lane. You're never going to have priority in that lane. But right now, Potato Senpai definitely has an angle through the mid lane. So what they could try to do, and maybe they could try this next game if they do have similar drafts, is just kind of set up from the mid lane. Just leave Deadbotting alone in the bot lane, send Living Phoenix to the mid lane, and push in from there. And because your Wukong is this strong, I mean, already has a Phage, already has a Triforce, with the Cyclone available, you can just make that play, because the amount of burst damage you can have just from those 3 members is going to be able to put the fight in such a position that Deadbotting is going to be able to join up.
And also, Potato Senpai as well, having completed their first item, as well as Deadbotting, is maybe hit a point in which they could hopefully start to fight these objectives out a little bit stronger, because it is definitely one of the aspects of this team fighting composition that Legacy 9 have drafted for themselves, is the fact that it does kind of take a little bit for them to really run away with these fights, even though they, you know, obviously want to group up, as I mentioned way back in the draft, the Pop Blossom combined with the Cyclone It's so much CC. It does take a little bit for the Smolder and the Victor to be able to get the damage to be able to follow up, but as we get on a little bit longer, they should be able to do a little bit more, and it does look like they will be able to at least get the Rift Herald for themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, they're finally getting an objective, and that's all good and dandy, but unfortunately for them, Hyler didn't want to take that fight. Now, that's not a bad thing, because if you're able to get a free objective, you take that free objective, you know? Especially with the gold being slightly in favor of Hyler. They also have the 2 extra dragons. It's not a lot of bonus stats, but every little bit adds up, especially in a game like League of Legends, where it really is a game of inches. But, you know what? Let's just take a time to kind of take stock of where everyone's at, because surprisingly enough, Dead Botting's actually up in CS over in the bot lane. Granted, Cuddlebear did have the cull, so we'll have that extra gold and a lot of extra plays as well. So definitely the Caitlyn is still ahead overall. But it does mean that Dead Botting has been able to get those last hits, has been able to start stacking. Might be a little bit more behind, but again, whenever there's the Caitlyn Karma, you expect to be a little bit behind on your stacks just in general. In the top lane, the lead hasn't grown for Vacant Text. So at this point, the Scion's just going to be able to farm out safely, as Herald's actually getting positioned in the bot lane. Arcane Storm used as well.
Yeah, just clear out the waves to be able to get the charge of the Rift Herald and first tower to the side of Legacy 9. And I do actually believe...
Yeah, that's Feats.
That's Feats, yeah, for Legacy 9. Had the feats of strength earlier. Now with the first tower going their way, can they get a second charge onto the mid tower? And they do. And a little extra damage down Cuddlebear as well, taking a little poke from Dead Botting, scaling up a little bit longer with a little bit faster with those stacks now available. Maybe at one point we get to see exactly where Dead Botting is at this point in time. Have to just wait for that potential moment. But I mean, Legacy 9 still technically barely down in terms of gold, but I think they're absolutely fine since the Hyler haven't really been able to run away with their lead.
Yeah, and the fact that the lead is 700, it's really not that big. And you look at their laners, you have a Scion in the top lane. Sion's going to outscale the Aatrox. You look at the mid lane, it's a Victor with a Mel. Mel, decently strong, sure, but Victor is definitely still going to be stronger later on in the game, just because Victor is one of the scaling mids in the game. And then Smolder versus Caitlyn. Caitlyn doesn't fall off as hard as she thinks, but Less Force could be in a bad spot.
Cyclone not going to be used by Rigor Mortis. L9 being a little bit more patient with this fight, knowing that it takes him a little bit to get going. This Tangle Barb is going to find less force. Actually, Memer Stick's taking a lot of damage down. Pop Blossom finds its way onto 2, but the damage can't quite follow up as Dream to Me gets the first kill. Mom Calden is able to trade it back. Dream to Me getting picked up as well by Legacy 9. It's 2 for 1 to the L9 team, but the health bars are still kind of low. With the Drake up and ready to go, it would be soul point if Hyler can't be able to take this Less Force, trying to find a potential way in, doesn't have access to that Glacial Prison as it was used earlier in that previous fight. We're still going forward. Rigor Mortis getting marked up, but not quite finding much more. Going to use the clone to be able to get away from the 90 caliber net. Not much else. Both these teams still kind of sitting around and waiting. Tangle Barbs finds way onto Cuddlebear, but again, just not a lot of damage available to be able to follow up. All the while in the top lane, Vacant Tech left alone is able to take that tower for themselves. And despite what we said earlier, Vacant Tech starting to garner a 40 CS advantage, but I don't want to throw it over to you just yet, Toki B, because it's a very, very tenuous situation. Potato Senpai might get pinched down on his Dream to Me is here. Won't be able to find the snare. Will opt to hold on to that for a little bit longer. Health bars on the side of Lexi's 9 still very low as the Drake is started up, leaving Phoenix. Probably going to have to find a way out of this fight. But the cooldowns have almost come all the way back up. This is how long as this fight has gone on. We're back 4v4, and even now Vacant Tech heading towards this Drake. Smite goes down. It's soul point to Hyler. Is there a follow-up fight to come through? Both teams just kind of walk away from each other, but Potato Senpai does have to flash over the wall to be able to get out of the pit.
Yeah, and I'll finally let you take a breath after all of that, but ultimately...
all of that for us to just look at each other and smile away at Drake. I mean, come on.
That's the way she goes sometimes, you know? And yeah. I think what we saw there is L9 found a solid engage. I mean, especially the Pop Blossom coming in from Living Phoenix was very solid, found the right targets. but they weren't able to win the fight hard enough. Cuddle Bear was still alive, which, again, long-range AD carry, going to be able to keep poking away at you while you're trying to take the dragon. Not going to be able to start it. Less Force, the smite on the side of high alert minions, is also still alive. So because of that, they also can't just live through the poke or try to zone away the Caitlyn, because there's always going to be that 50-50 option. And the side with more poke in those 50-50s typically is going to be a little bit favored. And they didn't have the cooldowns to start another fight after that. And they did get a lot of poke coming in from dead botting onto Less Force, onto Cuddle Bear, but because of the range, you can only really poke with the at choose. Can't poke in with those Qs. It's a long cooldown spell. It doesn't deal that much damage, especially not yet. And without the execute threshold, it's not that big of a threat. And it's really unfortunate for them, because I do think the fight was really good for them. And it was just, again, another game of interest where they weren't able to get the final kills. And they got scared off a little bit because Vacant Tech started to TP down. But R19 actually was able to cancel that TP. So if they knew ahead of time that the Scion was going to cancel it, they could have just kept pushing forward. They could have cleaned up Cuddle Bear and Less Force, and maybe L9 could have gotten the win from there. But the way things are right now, it is still going to be sole point as Glacial Prison.
Not quite going to find anybody. The target was dead botting, but just a little bit short. But we do have an update from production. Is 163 stacks on the Smolder now, so potentially if I remember correctly, it might be a little bit of a slow stacking from dead botting, but honestly, we kind of expected that with the what's the word, the matchup into the Caitlyn. So not necessarily too disappointing, but the Cyclone goes down onto Memersticks, who's taken very low, but the shield onto himself keeps him alive, but the Karma is now out of the fight. No Cyclone available to the side of Legacy 9 as they back away and won't try to find anything else just yet. Less Force? No, they'll back away from each other, surely. Surely we won't find anything silly happening here.
I mean, this trade on its own is kind of silly. They're just fighting over a mid lane line brush, which when the dragon's spawning in 2 minutes, this really doesn't matter that much, but both teams just kind of throwing everything towards it. And maybe it makes sense a little bit from the side of L9, because again, they don't have the range, they don't have the poke. They're either going to get poked down or they have to fight. So I guess if we look at it from that angle, Rigor Mortis going in with the Cyclone, it's never going to be an absolutely terrible option unless you get completely destroyed in the fight, which obviously they did not. But meanwhile, on the top side, though, Vacant Tech, I was talking about that lead earlier where R19 wasn't getting poked down too much, wasn't losing too much on the CS front. But now the 40 CS lead has grown. It's starting to continue getting closer to 50. And there is a Bramble Vest on R19, but again, it's one of those things where if you don't have the damage to follow up, even at 60% healing coming back for Vacant Tech, it's still more than enough to out-heal the damage output that Sion's going to be there. So most trades are going to be favoring this Aatrox. Only thing that Vacant Tech, I think, is afraid of is getting collapsed upon by everyone else. So because they don't have vision of anyone else in L9, they're just going to be playing a little bit further back, not going to be walking in quite as far forward, not going to be pushing the Sion in even more. And that's just a testament to how kind of one-sided this matchup has become, where Vacant Tech can just basically fully dictate the terms of that 1v1 as long as Vacant Tech knows it's a 1v1.
Well, counterpoint, even if Vacant Tech doesn't know that it's 1v1, the Otacon is on the map, so if it does get collapsed on, it could be the trigger that high alert minions do look for to be able to move on to this permanence buff that they would be able to get, but they do recall away. Don't believe Legacy 9 will opt to start it themselves, as they have now moved off of that Otacon, but just a potential food for thought as we move on and through game one. As mentioned, Otacon is on map. We're still waiting less than a minute for the Baron to spawn, but of course, right as I say that, classic caster curse will probably be a little bit longer, as we've got something potentially going down here as a pause comes up.
Yeah, I mean, just the way of the road. But talking about the Otacon and why I don't think it's necessarily that big of a threat, neither one of these teams has one of those true hyper-scaling auto-attacking ADCs. They don't have the Zayas, the Jinxes, the Yunaras, just someone that can really, really shred through that objective. I mean, it's a Caitlyn Mel on one side, it's a Victor Smolder on the other. So these Otacon kills would take a very, very long time. So if you send people up to deal with Vacant Tech, and especially if you send someone like Potato Senpai to kind of do the 1v2, they could TP into the fight afterwards. So the Otacon would never be a safe option. And frankly, even if it does become a 3 versus 4, if it's the 4 that's taking up the Otacon, they would still be in trouble depending on the positioning. They would basically have to choose whether to do a snap engage and just burst someone down, or they would have to continue forward. But luckily for us, it was a short pause. We'll still get that little bit of a pause delay afterwards. You know, our very favorite bug.
Yeah, the one
we're in
where
the game.
it's like, right? We are? Surely? Play will resume in 0? Riot? Hello? Are we going to resume the game where... No! And we discovered a new spectator bug that may have infected... No, okay, thank goodness.
We caster cursed that so bad. First I said we're back in the game, and then the pause still continued on, and then you said, nope, we found a new bug. Boom, right back in the game. We caster cursed everything here, but teamfight going to be starting up, and this could be Soul for high alert if they're able to get it.
Yeah, and you see how that entrance is blocked off with the Yordle snap trap, so it's a little bit of a tough entrance for Legacy 9. Cuddle Bear will be found by the laser of Victor. Not much else, and here's the classic post-pause, but we're through it just now. The Glacier Prisons finds way onto Rigor Mortis, will have to clone away, and there's not quite enough damage to follow up. It's a little bit chaotic in the mix. Pop Blossom finds way onto 2. Mom gets called down, and that will be the shutdown for Deadbotting, and now they're looking for less force. The auto attack isn't quite enough. Dream to Me gets Rigor Mortis. Deadbotting gets less force. There's only 2 members left of High Alert left alive, but it's a kill for Dream to Me onto the Smolder, staying alive. Dream to Me, it's never quite as it seems for L9. Quadra kill for the Mel. Potato Senpai is also very low. Pizza kill for Dream to Me, please. Will dodge out the Victor laser, getting very low. Dream to Me, no, not quite the pizza kill as Beaver Stick steals it away. But it is an incredible moment for Dream to Me, impossible to ignore on the Mel. An incredible fight there for the mid laner of High Alert minions.
And my favorite part is we're going to be able to do this right again because neither side was healthy enough or won the fight hard enough to take the dragon. So now everyone's going to be respawning. The only person that's going to be a little bit late on there is Potato Senpai, which luckily enough is the only member on L9 to still have the teleport available. So we're going to be able to do that again. Now, a lot of the ultimate cooldowns are still down, but they are very close to being back up. And I'm not even going to have time to analyze that previous fight because it looks like we're setting up for another.
Drake started up just again right as it starts, but Cuddle Bear is a little bit late, so they can't quite get those 90 caliber, the Yordle snap traps down and set up, but this will be less force getting burned down. The heal isn't quite enough. It's immediately a kill down onto the jungler of L9, and the rest of L9 seem to be going down very quickly. Double kill for Deadbotting. Now Memer Sticks took away the Pinta and will be paying for it. Not quite, as he lives just a little bit longer, but it won't matter as Rigor Mortis moves back to the Drake, and L9 will prevent the soul from going over. It's not quite done just yet. Dream to Me no longer has the rebuttal, but it won't matter. Wow, the Golden Eclipse damages so much. Rigor Mortis goes forward onto Memer Sticks, but the heal from the Mantra W is enough to keep him alive, and it's a triple kill for Dream to Me. Every single time I think Legacy 9 have won the fight, Dream to Me just comes out with some magic. Jeez, wow.
They're starting Baron. Okay, I don't know if they can actually do this, but there's no Smite, there's no Victor. Maybe they can. Less Force is on the way with Cuddle Bear, but this is going to hurt a lot until they're there.
Yeah, and well, the teleport is available for Vacant Tech, so all the members well alive, but Dream to Me and Memer Sticks are taken quite low. DC Living Phoenix moving forward, trying to scout things out a little bit. They will know that the Baron is spawning, is started up. Rigor Mortis is only just spawning now, and R19 is the only one who has access to the teleport, and he's already here. So there's just not enough numbers for Legacy 9 as Baron goes the way of High Alert minions.
All right, well, I guess I'll take this moment to talk about that second dragon fight because I have the memory of a goldfish, so I already forgot the first, but... and what ended up happening in the second one is Rigor Mortis jumped over the dragon wall. Still had Cyclone on cooldown at the start of that jump, by the way. So, Otacon's going to get pulled. This one should just be free. It's just going to be the trade of Baron for Otacon, so not too much to say here. And Rigor Mortis was able to find 4 in the Cyclone. That was one of the big differences from the previous fight. And on top of that, Dead botting hit the 225 stack threshold. And having those extra executes, especially against Sejuani and Aatrox, who can Aatrox can just heal right back up if you get him below 6%. Not when there's a smolder, just gonna immediately execute you. And 6.5% execute onto a Sejuani is a ton. That's a lot of health there, but another fight.
Unstoppable Onslaught finds its way forward onto the Sejuani, and the Cyclone goes through the back line to interrupt the few. Less Force goes down immediately. There's no one there on the team to help out, but Dream to me is really strong, is able to answer a kill down onto Living Phoenix at the very least, so 1-for-1 to start out the fight. But importantly, there's not really a frontline left and available for the side of High Alert Minions. But no, equally for the side of L9, not a lot of their engage tools have been used to try to get that pick.
Yeah, and whenever their engaged tools are down, it becomes so difficult for them to play into this team comp. We're even seeing that right now. High Alert Minions are going to take the tier 2 in the mid lane. No one can come down to answer Vacant Tech, and especially with those Baroned up minions, Vacant Tech should be able to slowly but surely take down that tier 2 turret. And that's considering they do have very strong wave clear on the side of Legacy 9. They have the Victor, they have the Smolder, both are really good at taking down Baroned up minions. And with a double cannons now pushing in with the bot lane, Vacant Tech should definitely be able to secure this one. And I think that's kind of the issue of the Legacy 9 composition. They do have a lot of strong engage tools, but they're all incredibly long cooldown. It's all those ultimate abilities. And I think that's kind of why they ended up losing that secondary fight in that last Dragon exchange. Because Rigor Mortis got that massive Cyclone, they got the Pop Blossom from Living Phoenix, Mom, Arcane Storm, every Unstoppable Onslaught coming in from the Scion. But after they use that, what's their engage? The only thing they really have is Tangle Barbs, which it's good when you're peeling back or when you catch someone unawares, but it's not good when you're trying to chase someone down. And at most, it's just red buff slow. And when you're into a Pocomp, someone that has range, and you're not able to hard engage on them, like we saw there, Dream to me was just able to absolutely delete everyone off the map. So I think what L9 need to try and do is kind of recognize that weakness of their draft. It's not a bad weakness to have because the rest of their draft is quite solid. They just need to play around it and be aware of it.
And it does look like they are trying to get the early setup onto the Drake. It's an important one as it is still sole point to the side of High Alert. It's important to not allow this High Alert Minions team to be able to set up with the Caitlyn to be able to completely force you into a singular walkway, into singular choke point. So it is good that L9 has arrived first to be able to potentially set up a Drake, which is spawning now in 15 seconds. Can they hold on to their positioning though? Less Force moving forward, not quite able to push past the banana brush just yet. They have found their way into the river. I think now Baron Drake is now up and available. We do see those executes available for the side of Deadbotting. They are potentially big, and now L9 has moved in, but the Yordle Snap Traps are set up to give a line for the L9 team to move behind. 4K down on the Drake, getting burnt. The Glacial Prison finds its way onto Potato Sandpipe. There's no real way to follow that up just yet, so no Sejuani available. Sejuani ult available for the side of High Alert Minions. The Drake will go the way of Legacy 9, but Living Phoenix is immediately burned down, and here comes their counterattack from a High Alert Minions. Vacant Tech's in the bat line, dead botting, going to be taken down. Surely not quite. Q2 from Vacant Tech not getting it, but it's a fight all over the place. All the while, Rigor Mortis and Living Phoenix were killed on the back end of that fight as I focused a little bit too hard on Vacant Tech, who I assumed would have quite gotten dead botting, but is still 2-1 the way of High Alert. And actually, R19, he'll go down, so it'll be a 3-1, surely. Okay, well, I just say that Unstoppable Onslaught comes through, and he'll be fine. So, you know, curse forward, back, and center. It's caster curses everywhere. Of course, as I say that, Potato Senpai burned down to half HP as mid lane tier 3 gets taken down.
Yeah, and I mean, that fight overall definitely benefiting High Alert Minions. I mean, they're going to be able to take this mid inhibitor. They were able to take this mid tier 3. They do lose a dragon, but while they would definitely love Soul on their team, it just makes the team fights a lot easier for them. It's not that big of a deal if Legacy 9 get their second dragon of the game, which is what happened there. And if you trade 2 for 1 and tier 3 and inhibitor for a second dragon, that is a trade you will take any day of the week. So High Alert, bit by bit, starting to climb forward in the game. And now, because they will have that passive pressure in the mid lane, it does open up the map a little bit more for them. And we've been saying, you're the POCOM, you need to be at objectives first. So if you're able to get, now that they have that extra pressure in the mid lane, now that there's something else they're going to have to answer, they should have an easier time of getting that. As now they're going to be fighting here for the River. And it looks like both sides now thinking about the Baron. But High Alert just able to walk their way in. They got pink wards on a couple of members in a lot of key spots. And if they're able to set up this vision line, it makes it so much harder for Legacy 9 to enter. And yeah, they're just going to pull on the Baron right away. And honestly, I don't see why not. At this stage in the game, they do kill it very fast.
It's down to 10k HP already. As you mentioned, it's a very easy startup for Legacy 9. Do have a setup around this Baron, but it is dropped the aggro and starting to get its health back up. There is an angle in for the side of High Alert minions. They're able to do a little bit of poking themselves down onto the Legacy 9 team, who are now once again trying to regain positioning of this river, setting up the Yordle Snap Trap line on the river brush. Going to be able to force the L9 team either to the north or south side of the map. Now, once again, Baron started up by High Alert minions. L9 opting to go for the north side entrance, but they're pushed away by Dream to Me and Vacant Tech. Baron down to 6.5 HP. There needs to be a way in for L9. They need to find it soon. 2k 900 smite comes down. Baron to the side of High Alert minions, but Mom is called, and that will be Cuddle Bear picked out. But meanwhile, Dream to Me is legendary. Gets the kill onto Rigor Mortis. Vacant Tech killing up with the World Ender, but it's not enough as he's burnt down. Cuddle Bear has so much range. They can't find a way in on this ADC. Dream to Me in a bit of trouble, but a good snare finds its way down, and the Victor also caught Dream to Me with another few set of kills. Living Phoenix for the ace in the hole. Downtown is killed. It's a clean, maybe not perfectly clean ace from the High Alert minions, but that should be the game as they claim everyone on L9.
Yeah, and again, they're trying to engage onto the poke team, and I think they did a good job originally. They got the mid tier 2. They knew they had mid priority, and Dead Botting was getting something for the team during that, but I think they turned back to the Baron just a little bit too late. And again, the damage Cuddle Bear and especially Dream to Me in that fight, 15-2-2 on this Mel was just a little bit too much. And Rigor Mortis is alone to defend on this, not going to be able to do it. And just like that, the Nexus goes down, and that's going to be game 1 going over to High Alert minions.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while for them to really find the moment that really opened up the game. It was starting to look, honestly, a little bit concerning with how much scaling the Legacy 9 team had available to them, but at the end of the day, it didn't quite matter. They eventually found the fights they needed to burst things open. Off the performance of Dream to Me, especially around those earlier Dragon fights. I mean, he struggled a little bit in the early game, but when it came down to the important moments, he really showed up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the main thing. And then on top of that, just one thing to consider for the draft, because there is so much poke on the side of High Alert minions, they do have decent amounts of engage on L9, but all of it is pretty slow engage. Unstoppable Onslaught, I mean, there's a massive horn to let you know that the Scion's coming in. It's not a quick snap engage. For a snap engage, all they really have is the Wukong Cyclone, but it's short ranged. And when you have enemies like the Mel, like the Caitlyn, it's so difficult to walk in forward. And especially in that last fight around the Baron, we saw like they're just not able to walk in together. The Scion has to go alone. The rest of the team's going to be a little bit split up. Smolder does a lot of damage if you let him free fire, but he never really had that opportunity because he was so outranged by everyone that the game was just way too difficult to play. So maybe something to consider for the next draft, but I do think skill-wise, hands-wise, and even just the macro, these two teams are pretty even, so I'm really excited to see the next game.
Yeah, and we will send to a break because when we get back, we will bring that very next game to you, or at least the draft, and see what alterations these two teams make going into game 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a very few short moments.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, oh, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul ray of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the last light. Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul ray of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the last light. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
And we are back and ready for game two between High Alert Minions and Lexi 9 here in the Blue Otter Diamond League. We move straight away. High Alert Minions opting to switch sides as they quickly go through. We're a little bit late to this one, but Trundle will lock in for High Alert Minions.
Yep, and we're already seeing some interesting bans coming through here as well. I mean, a lot of targeting towards the top side coming in from High Alert Minions. The Jax and the Gwen both going to get removed. Kaisa immediately locked in first by Legacy 9. Now, it is a pick we've been seeing decently at Worlds, but in my opinion, I think it needs to be drafted around. You typically only want Kaisa in situations where there's a lot of frontline, and with the Trundle being shown, that is a good pick. Or if you're playing a dive composition, and that's especially what I would love to see right now from Legacy 9. If they have a lot of long range engage or just a lot of champions that just want to go in, like the Nocturne, Viego to some extent can do this as well. Definitely not as much. Heartbreaker, you typically want to be using that as a way to end fights rather than kind of start them. But either way, it can definitely work, especially if you get something like the Ornn in the top lane. I think that would be really strong for Legacy 9.
I mean, Viego is also a Rigor Mortis classic. It's like that is the Rigor Mortis champ that they are electing to lock in there. But the response from High Alert Minions, as you mentioned, with these dive compositions that are very popular with the Kaisa pick, will opt to go for the Xayah in response, and going to follow that up probably with the Nautilus, maybe even Rakan. Well, nope. Nautilus will be the choice for High Alert Minions.
Yeah, and I think the Nautilus pick is pretty interesting because I know everyone always says Xayah Rakan, but she does do quite well with other supports as well. I think Xayah in general is just a strong marksman. It is strong with Rakan, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have to be with Rakan. But on the other side of it, Kaisa really likes to be with engaged champions, and Nautilus is typically one of the strongest ones for it. Now, Rel is another really strong option for it, and again, it fits with at least the vision of the draft that I had for Legacy 9. Obviously, they can go with their own one. They can still play front to back with Kaisa, but right now it does seem like they definitely have the extra engage. They're going to be able to get those plasma stacks up for the Kaisa. And in general, I am kind of liking their team composition. If they just get a little bit of extra damage coming in from the mid lane, doesn't even have to be a lot. Something like Control Mage would be good, as we do see the Orianna banned away from them. And maybe another form of engage in the top side, though. I was thinking Ornn earlier, and I still think it wouldn't be the worst, but I did fail to mention that there is a Trundle. So whenever there's a tank in the game, the Subjugate makes a much bigger difference, and Ornn getting those bonus stats through the passive is a very juicy target for a Trundle in team fights.
Yeah, but on the side of Lexi 9, looking at their bans in the second round, a lot of focus towards Dream to me, and considering their performance in game one, I guess that should be suspected.
Yeah, for sure. As we do see the Ahri locked in for the mid lane for Legacy 9, and this does point even more towards dive compositions. Obviously, the Spirit Rush, very good at targeting onto backlines, but the issue I'm also seeing right now is Xayah, not necessarily the easiest backline target to hit, so they could be looking to attack whoever is going to be in the mid lane. Is that getting locked in? That is going to get locked in. All right, I guess we have an Irelia game on our hands.
I mean,
and a Singed.
No, wait, that's not locked.
I'm not talking.
Bait. That's bait. That's 1,000,000% bait. There's no way that isn't bait. Although, in terms of a Singed angle, it's not going to be. Okay, well, I mean, actually, never mind. Mordekaiser is the option for High Alert Minions, and it does also like having champions running into him to be able to get that passive procced quickly and be able to slow everybody around him as soon as he has the Rylai's Crystal Scepter available. It's a pretty decent option, in my opinion, to what Lexi 9 is showing.
Yeah, and Ambessa is going to be getting hovered up there by Legacy 9. So again, dive composition fully on board now. And they are going to have to play this with a decent amount of thought, though, because again, the only target is Xayah, and Xayah has a natural way of avoiding getting dove upon with that Featherstorm. But it's definitely still possible. They could also just elect to play front to back. This composition's kind of good at both, so really well drafted on Legacy 9 here. Obviously, Viego kind of can kite backwards until they get someone low enough where Heartbreaker in, just have the Viego fantasy that we all know and love. But I've been talking a lot about Legacy 9. Yeah. I don't know why. I think I'm just a Kaisa fan there. But High Alert Minions has a good draft too.
I was about to say there is one really big elephant in the room with this draft, and it is the Aurelia for, I'm going to assume, will be Dream to Me this time around. It's one that they have in their wheelhouse, one that they play quite a lot in solo queue. So I for one am a bit excited to see, well, just Aurelia in general coming through in this draft, but specifically for Dream to Me, I want to see what this player can pull out on this champion.
Yeah, and it's a very different pick compared to the Mel, and we saw how well Dream to Me was able to pilot on that Mel. And it is kind of an ego pick, to be completely honest, because if they're able to pilot this Irelia, they can absolutely just run away with this game. I mean, just being able to prevent those auto attacks, the massive slow, it makes Viego and Kaisa so difficult to play. And even the Ari with the Spirit Rush, if you end up getting hit by it, you're so slow that people can follow you regardless, especially when there's things like Trundle, Nautilus. They have so much move speed and so much reach, respectively, on the two of them. They can definitely make those fights go their way. So, and especially because this is an Irelia in the mid lane, it's going to be so important that they can get ahead on Dream to Me. Because again, Irelia always sink or swim as a champion, always feast or famine. You're either going to be super strong, just absolutely impossible to play against, or you're really not going to be doing much. So going to be interesting to see which one of those two Dream to Me is going to be able to pull out.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what game 2 has in store for us, but we will send it to a spectator delay. So when we come back, we will be bringing you game 2 with notably Dream to Me's Aurelia. So we're looking forward to that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be bringing that to you in a few short moments. we are back and loaded onto the Rift, ready to go for game 2 between High Alert Minions and Legacy 9. I mean, we could have talked about it a bit in the draft, but Dream to me on the rail is definitely where my eyes are pointed to immediately.
My eyes are immediately pointed to Less Force. Smite, Exhaust, Trundle.
Oh, shoot, you're right. Hold on.
That
Wait a
is
second.
toxic.
Oh,
That is
whoa,
toxic.
whoa.
I mean, it is really strong in the matchup, though, because in general, I'm hoping this is what this is, but I want Less Force to be invading Rigor Mortis as much as possible, especially while that Exhaust is up, because in general, the Trundle always going to be able to steal a little bit of that attack damage just with that chomp. If you're also able to exhaust this poor Viego, like, there's just nothing Rigor Mortis can do in those fights. Basically just has to immediately give it up. So definitely going to be something to watch out for later on in the game. It is still useful in ganks as well, but definitely those matchups are going to be stronger, as we do see Dream Timmy just winning out a little bit on that trade with Potato Senpai, but Dredgeline.
Oh yeah, finds its way onto Living Phoenix. He wasn't going to try to counter that at all. We'll just use the crash down to get away.
Yeah, so not going to be too much of engagement going on down there. As heavy trading just kind of happening across all 3 lanes. Quick level 2 for R19 though.
Oh yeah, Vacant Tech not going to get level 2 themselves, taking very low. But speaking of level 2, Dream to me dashing forward onto Potato Senpai. Not going to push it any further under tower though.
Yeah, a lot of winning trades happening, but no full all-ins, no kills going down, no summoners getting burned quite yet across either of these 2 sides. Now, bot lane's probably, in my opinion, going to be one of the more passive lanes, which is really crazy to say when you have a Nautilus and a Rel, but I think especially Dream to me wants to play aggressive, and like we've seen so far in those early trades, is going to be playing aggressively. At best, and Mordecai, so they're both short range. I mean, top laners in general, they're just constantly brawling. That's just the nature of top lane. But it doesn't look like anyone's really getting any big, meaningful advantages yet on either side.
Flawless duets. It's a lot of return damage from Potato Senpai. The charm lands, but had already used all of their abilities, so no further damage coming through. But this mid lane's getting to a very volatile state with how low these health bars are.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see some jungle intervention towards the mid lane. I think in terms of volatility, kind of like you said, that is the key word here. It is the most volatile lane.
Oh, Potato Senpai going to have to flash away after getting tagged by the flawless duet of Dream to me. And so now, even more so than before, no mana on Dream to me. The charm lands. Is there enough damage to get the kill? Not quite for Potato Senpai, but geez, that is very scary moments to be having there in the mid lane.
I mean, definitely. And with the flash being down, Potato Senpai definitely going to be under a little bit more threat, at least until that level 6. Once Spirit Rush is available, there will be a little bit of extra safety coming in for the Sari, but before then, needs to watch out, needs to give up a little bit of extra priority over to Dream to me, or look for jungle.
Oh, but you said it was going to be potentially boring in the bottom lane, but now dead botting getting a decent return amount of damage on some meme sticks, but you know what? Perhaps you were right. They're not going to push their luck any further.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing trades like this, and I think being able to start fights for both of these sides is definitely doable. It's definitely possible. But I think getting someone 100-0, especially this early on in the game, just shouldn't really be happening.
Oh, of course, as you say that, Living Phoenix taking down to about 1/4 HP and dismounted, so going to have a little bit of trouble getting back into this lane. The health bars of the bot lane of Legacy 9 actually not doing all so great.
Yeah, but in general, just looking over at the overall gold, neither side's really winning out on this lane phase, and it has been more or less a slow lane phase now. Obviously, Mirror Sticks and Cuddle Bear, they're winning out on the HP. They're going to be able to get a couple of auto attacks down onto this turret in the bot lane, but because they're under tower, they definitely can't look for more than that, just maybe a little bit of extra poke. And with the mana starting to get low on Cuddle Bear, it's going to be even harder to get one of those all-ins coming in through the bot lane, but TP over on the top side, as both top laners have gotten a reset, though R19 has not had to use teleport, so there will be a small advantage with that in the top lane coming in for Legacy 9, but I'm not sure if they will be able to use it.
Flawless duet finds its way down onto Potato Senpai, but the charm and damage will be completely negated by Dream to me. We're talking about teleport advantage. A really good time that it could have been used would have been now with the Drake's aren't up, but no contest from the side of Legacy 9. Honestly, a bit understandable with how those health bars were looking from their bot lane, and it will be first strike to high alert minions.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're going to get when you get those consistent wins in trades. They're not going to be able to get the kills. They're not going to be able to get first blood for themselves, as we are 6 minutes without first blood, which is quite rare in the Diamond League, I believe. But it is going to give the priority for Dragon. It's going to give you first move. You do have the Trundle with Exhaust, as I repeat again, because I still can't get over that. I don't know why. And it's going to mean that they're just going to be able to get themselves some objectives over in the bot
The
lane.
stun drops. Potato Senpai must just not have had charm, because won't follow that up at all on the stun from Living Phoenix. It could have been a potentially good moment for Legacy 9 to be able to get that kill, but we'll have to sit around and wait a little bit longer for another potential first blood to drop.
Unironically, I think if Dream to Me knew that Rigor Mortis wasn't in the area, I think Dream to Me would have gone in.
Oh, Public Execution drops down onto Vacant Tech as Rigor Mortis is here, but so is Less Force. So it will just be the ults from R19. Not much else. Dredgeline finds its way onto a minion. It might be Memersticks a little bit caught out, but the amount of tankiness you get from the Aftershock means he doesn't get too much damage in return. Flash form from Memersticks gets the very least a return flash from Deadbotting.
Yeah, and that's the difference between BF Sword and Double Longsword Cull. Cuddlebear definitely much stronger in those engagements. Those auto attacks deal so much more damage. There's another Dredgeline.
Oh, Dredgeline fights into Living Phoenix, and another flash taken away from the bot lane of Legacy 9.
Yeah, right now, Cuddlebear and Beamer Sticks, because they won those trades earlier on, they just have the higher stats right now. And Beamer Sticks, if they're able to continue landing these dredge lines, it's just going to get worse and worse for L9. It's going to make it so much harder to play the lane, as we're still seeing a lot of trading on the top side, a lot of trading in the mid lane.
Oh, Flawless Duet misses, and the charm lands, but Rigor Mortis is a little bit too far away to really punish Dream to Me too much more, but will lose a decent amount of their HP. Might not matter too much, as Less Force is here, and there is the Vamp Scepter available. Dream to Be taking a ton of damage, taking very low, going down now. Heartbreaker misses, and as the ult comes through from Dream to Be, dashes forward, but is immediately killed by Potato Senpai. Just a little bit too excited from Dream to Me, but it is immediately traded back by Less Force.
Yeah, I mean, pushing out the flash from Dream to Me, and Dream to Me wasn't the one that got the kill. This is going to be really big for Legacy 9. It was an even 1-for-1 trade, everything said and done. But I do think because of the champions, because of the picks, this is going to benefit Legacy 9 more. It's going to make Dream to Me have a harder time trying to bully out Potato Senpai in the lane. And like we saw there, Less Force with the extra exhaust was able to just remove Rigor Mortis. And because of that, because the jungler was the one who survived there, they will at the very least be able to take the grubs for them. So later on, if Dream to Me is able to win out in this lane, should be very good at taking out those turrets. And I mean, Irelia in the side lane is quite good at that.
And obviously with the Vamp Scepter will be a little bit alright, but we won't give up in the mid lane. The charm and then the stun from Rigor Mortis drops, gets a ton of damage down onto Less Horse, but Lemur Sticks has arrived to help his mid jungle to be able to get out of that one without much trouble.
Yeah, really good steal for them. It was very well organized. They managed to get it. No harm, no foul, able to back away later. As Dream to Me still trading quite heavily. I do like the fact that it does seem to be Bork first item coming out for Dream to Me. It's not going to be super good in the regular way that we see it into high tanks as another fight
speaking
happening.
of Dream to Me, it could be troublesome, but the stun and the charm both miss. Dream to Me trying to find the way onto Potato Senpai to be able to at least trade it back. Won't quite find the damage there.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, I think having Bork could be decent later on, just because, again, Potato Senpai is going to be getting a lot of poke down, so you definitely want some kind of lifesteal item early if possible. And Bork probably is the single best one for Irelia. This slow is still going to be useful, even if you can't take it the passive in as a big advantage, just having the max percent HP, or sorry, current percent HP. But either way, losing out in that mid lane, getting killed again and again, it's a kill going over to Potato Senpai. And the more damage the Sari is able to do in a single burst and a single charm, the harder this lane is going to get. And Potato Senpai is getting very close at getting that first completed item. And we're even seeing Dream to Me now going to be going for those Merc Treads. So wants to have that extra Mar, wants to be a little bit safer. But whenever you're behind and you're buying more of that tank stuff, it just means you're going to lose out a little bit of that extra threat.
A hook finds its way down onto dead botting, and a good dodge from Cuddle Bear. Does mean that the CC doesn't quite land, but it does buy a little bit of space for dead botting. But once again, ult down onto Potato Senpai in the mid lane, but just doesn't do all that much damage from Dream to me. The charm not quite finding the mark would have almost certainly been lethal there for the Ahri, but no kills in the mid lane either way just yet, once again.
Yeah, but with that bot lane dive, it does give them priority onto the dragon once again. So Cuddle Bear and Memer Sticks really winning out a lot for high alert minions right now. 2 dragons at 11 minions is really good. If they're able to secure the third, this does mean that their potential soul is going to come up at 21 minutes. And I'm trying to see which dragon it is. I do believe it is Chemtech, judging by the rift. So that would be a very solid dragon for them to have, especially on the Irelia, the Trundle. I mean, really everyone on their team likes to have those long extended engagements. So Chemtech might be the single best dragon they could get.
Yeah, and especially since they are short range, their health bars will be taking a few hits. You'll get full value out of that Chemtech soul passive, assuming that they can get there. They're certainly on track for that, but we do have a moment to take a step back. At the very least, Legacy 9 have been managing to keep things up in terms of gold, and even in the mid lane, Potato Senpai going to be able to complete that Blackfire Torch before Dream to Me even get their Bork.
Yeah, they're going to be resetting right now, so yeah, not going to be able to finish it. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
As Death Realm in the top
Vacant
side.
Tech will try to get the kill onto R19, popping down the Death Realm. The flash Q not quite finding the mark, so R19 is all right. Popping the thummies. Feeling good there in the top lane, or is R19.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's still a flash for flash, but this was the Riley's Crystal Scepter timing coming out of Vacant Tech, and that is one of the biggest item timings for the Mordekaiser. Once you have that slow, it makes it so difficult to dodge out on any one of those abilities. And luckily, it is the Ambessa. She has about 1 billion dashes in her kit. They are long cooldown, so if you're able to get that engagement on the side of Vacant Tech after she uses them for a short trade, then you can definitely look to win out on it. But the way things were in that fight, just managing to dodge out on that final obliterate, R19 definitely going to be the victor there. And now also comes back with the Eclipse, so that one item advantage is going to be gone now for Vacant Tech.
Yeah, and I do really like the Riley's Crystal Scepter for Vacant Tech here. I mean, with how much... Hold on, Rigor Mortis is spawning out less force. The Spirit Rush forward finds the charm. Heartbreaker drops over the top. Feats of Warfare going the way of Legacy 9.
Oh, and they're going for more.
Oh yeah, Rigor Mortis moves really quickly to the bot lane. It's a very early pillar as he moves back into the Viego form, but Memer Sticks really can't go anywhere. It's a good pillar, but he's so taken. Can he get out? Not quite. Dead Botting's auto attack finds the mark, and Rigor Mortis taken very low from the recall of the feathers, but not quite enough to return the kill onto the jungler of Legacy 9.
Yeah, really good transition coming in there from Rigor Mortis. I mean, definitely plays the Viego because, nice charm.
Charm drops. It's a very good predictive move from Potato Senpai. But a good flawless duet does mean that any sort of chance that L9 had to find another kill goes begging.
Yeah, but going back to that play, Rigor Mortis really playing that jungle matchup well. And I liked the exhaust from Lessforce. I saw the vision. But I feel like Lessforce was a bit too passive with it early on. I would really have preferred to see Lessforce just trying to fight Rigor Mortis full out with those complete all-ins in the jungle and just using that exhaust as an advantage. Because later on, like we saw in that fight, if that Trundle had flash, Lessforce gets away. And if Lessforce gets away, that play into the bot lane that Rigor Mortis was able to chain into, it would not have been possible. So if you're taking something like the exhaust in the jungle or the ignite, as we do see some of the junglers take, you need to realize what you're picking it for, and you need to be able to use the advantage while it still is a meaningful advantage. But either way, right now, that was going to be the Feats of Warfare going towards Legacy 9. Now, they have been a little bit behind on these objectives. There are 2 dragons already going the way of high alert minions, so They will need to contest onto that or maybe look for the first turret of the game if they do want to get those full feats of strength. But I think they're still happy because they do have over 1k gold lead now as a team.
Well, all the way in the top lane, Vacant Tech getting a very nice trade, but I will say though, this does feel very similar, at least in terms of the proceedings of what we saw in Game 1 with Legacy 9, kind of starting to eke out to a minor gold advantage, but with the objectives going the way of High Alert, and actually with the Rift Herald claimed, actually not quite, they had already claimed the feats of Monster Slaying. Cuddle Bear in a little bit of trouble, but we'll be out of range and we'll be all right. But speaking of the Rift Heralds, immediately summoned in the top lane, and that will be first tower going the way of High Alert, and that will be the feats getting claimed by the minions.
Yeah, and we've seen this exact rotation in the previous game. That's what they used to get the feats of strength last time. Now, they will be trading this for the dragon, but again, this is the first dragon for Legacy 9, and they're going to be looking for the tier 2 in the top lane as well. So the gold lead now going to be gone, as now Dream to Me could be in a bad spot. 3 members roaming down. They need to make this dive work, but TP from behind.
Teleport's coming through. The Magnet Storm will drop Dream to Me, staying alive with the life steal. Not quite enough, but his second tower shot onto Rigor Mortis. A third takes him very low. Potato Senpai sent to the Death Realm. But Vacant Tech not quite landing the first Q, not quite landing the second one either. The Spirit Rush from Potato Senpai enough to be able to dodge out the damage of Vacant Tech, and the response from High Alert for the teleport not quite enough, but in terms of responses, they'll just decide to move to the mid lane tower.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's a mid lane tier 1 for a teleport and a kill. It's pretty even, I'd say, overall. Obviously, the fact that it's a mid tier 1 does make it, in my opinion, slightly favor High Alert minions, because again, mid tier 1 just opens up so many angles into the jungle, opens up so many angles towards setting up for objectives, whether with vision or just being able to push the minion wave in. But yeah, the game's a lot more even than it was before that play, before they got the Herald on the top side, because now gold more or less even. It's about a 500 gold difference. Vacant Tech might be able to finish off this turret in the bot lane, but plus or minus 500 gold, especially at around the 18 minute mark, it just doesn't matter that much anymore, especially when you also have the feats of strength. It's not a lot of stats before you get the upgraded boots, but it is still going to be a little bit of gold value. So really right now, it's just going to be coming down to which team's going to be able to fight better in these next engagements. As R19 getting jumped on.
I don't know if R19 really wants this one. He found Memer Sticks, but the rest of High Alert minions are there. It's a good stun from Living Phoenix. A teleport drops from Potato Senpai. Going to have to use the Spirit Rush to get away. Finds a charm onto Memer Sticks. Heartbreaker doesn't quite find the damage, but the second charge of the Spirit Rush does, and they'll get another one. Cuddle Bear going to be able to dodge out to the Dredge line with the Xayah ult, but that just means Dream to Me is left alone as the target of Legacy 9 as they pick up a few kills for themselves.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get themselves a double kill, but they're not going to be able to steal anything away in the jungle. S14 is taking out the blue buff, which was the final camp over on the bottom side. Meanwhile, in the bot side, Vacant Tech was able to take down the dragon, but
but the CC drops and the Killer Instinct finds its way over the top. Less force the target and taken down as Cuddle Bear is completely isolated from that fight.
Yeah, so getting that third kill definitely makes this a better trade. And I did misspeak. Vacant Tech took down the bot lane tier 1, not the dragon. But it's still going to be a little bit of extra gold. But that turret was very low to begin with. And the fact that it's a triple kill going to Legacy 9, that's going to matter so much more. The extra gold starting to get into their pockets. And we're starting to see that turn up in the items, especially for Potato Senpai. Still only on the Blackfire Torch. I assume is sitting on a decent amount of gold here, but 8 stacks on the Darksteel, 402, and yeah, sitting on 2k gold right now. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of money to spend for this Ahri when she does eventually recall. I think wants to take one more wave there. Has a lot of gold available for Rigor Mortis as well, who is going to be spending right now. We're seeing leads in most of these lanes. It's really just top lane where Vacant Tech is winning out decently hard, has had those 2 solo turrets, has had that, not 30 CS, 25 CS lead, we'll call it that. I don't like to do exact math on stream. And 2 items now completed, especially with the Hex Tech play, or on that Hex plate for Vacant Tech. So this is going to be a decently strong Mordekaiser, especially in the side lane, and that is going to be an opportunity for High Alert minions to play through.
Yeah, and with the experimental Hex plate on the Mordekaiser will be able to, whenever you send someone to the death realm, I've seen this a few times, it gets the passive proc very quickly, and it's allowed them to do so much damage. It makes you basically unable to go anywhere if you are the target of vacant tech, but all the while, Potato Senpai sitting on 2 items of their own, completing the Horizon focus on the previous recall.
Yeah, I mean, 2 full items already is going to be really strong in Ari.
Charm won't quite find its mark. That will be Spirit Rush used from Potato Senpai. And not quite going to find that second charm as well, but luckily, it is a relatively short cooldown. We'll find the third one without the Spirit Rush, and now Memer Sticks could be in a bit of trouble, taking down very low. We'll probably have to back out of this one, maybe recall away. There's not really much on the map except for that Otacon if these 2 teams find a fight.
Yeah, and Potato Senpai just dealing so much damage. It's so hard for anyone from High Alert to walk forward, and every time they try, that happens. Dream Team is just losing a quarter of their HP before they can walk in, before they can start the fight. And because of that, Legacy 9, they're just going to have first move on the dragon. And again, Less Force doesn't even have flash. So if you want those flash smite steals, it's impossible, whether you wanted to or not. So going to be another objective just secured easily for L9. But now Potato Senpai.
Oh, that will be the depth charge finding its way onto the Ari. No way to get out, but the crash down with the Magnet Storm is huge, and this fight will certainly go the way of Legacy 9. R9 in the back lane, the charm finds its way onto the Xayah. Vacant Tech gets the kill onto the Embedded. Rigor Mortis gets Cuddle Bear, and it's a perfect fight from Legacy 9.
Yeah, I mean, full ace, 5 for 2. And that's after they already secure the dragon. So I think High Alert minions, they're starting to crumble a little bit here. A gold lead's still not that massive. It's still only 2k, but this should secure them. The Otacon as well is going to give them so many stats. And now all 3 carries, all of the gold right now on the side of Legacy 9 going to the perfect targets. Rigor Mortis now at 2 items, sitting on another 1700 gold. Dead Botting sitting on another 2k305. Potato Senpai, who, again, we said, in this Irelia lane, both mid laners kind of become feast or famine. And Potato Senpai is the one that has become feast. 506, full Dark Seal as well. So a lot of gold value within that massive amount of gold as well. And this is just going to get harder and harder for High Alert minions because Dream Team is 052. This is an Irelia that's not really going to be able to impact these fights too much longer. And Rigor Mortis, when you have a Viego that's this strong, it is a champion that loves the executes and loves the resets. And when you have more gold, when you have more stats, it's so much easier to get them to begin with and be able to channel them into even bigger advantages in those fights. And that's exactly what we've been seeing coming out from Legacy 9. And if they're able to hold on to this lead, if they're able to keep playing the way they have, I don't see any reason why we can't go to a game 3 here.
Yeah, even though the goal difference might be a little bit deceptive in terms of what it's displaying, the momentum has certainly been in the way of Legacy 9. They've won nearly every single fight that we've seen these 2 teams come together with. And even though the performance of these 3 carries from Rigor Mortis, Potato Senpai, and Dead Botting have been really quite good. I mean, the option to go in, the Living Phoenix fighting the Crashdown and the Magnet Storm, I believe was onto 4 members of High Alert, really set that one up for L9.
Yeah, and yes, you're right. Overall as well, for the teams, the gold lead isn't that big, but it's really about the gold placement because Vacant Tech is the rich member right now for High Alert minions. But if you look at the targets that the Death Realm can take, there's not too many that can result in a kill because R19 just going to be able to dash and just jump away from every single one of those obliterates, which is the vast majority of Vacant Tech's damage. Rigor Mortis, I think, might even straight up win in the 1v1. I'm not 100% sure on that, but definitely not an easy target to take. As Cuddlebear forced to Featherstorm.
Yep. No Featherstorm available for High Alert minions, especially important as Baron is now on the map and available potentially for Legacy 9 for them to move over to, but we'll hold off on that, albeit I feel like at any moment they could probably decide to start it up, as they really should burn through these objectives very quickly with what they have.
Yeah, and they have a very strong team comp to do that. Even the Blackfire Torch build for the Ahri makes her pretty decent at just taking down Barons, Otacons, really any objective. But with Dragon spawning in a minute, I do suspect both of these teams are going to be putting their focus onto that. We are starting to see about 2.5 items starting to come through from most of these players. So it's not a bad item time, but Vacant Tech.
He's going to be the target, will have access to the death realm if he tries to use it. He's already taken very low, won't even be able to touch it. But with 3-4 members of the side of Legacy 9 moving to the bottom half of the map, here comes the high alert minions starting up the Baron. Potato Senpai is in the vicinity though and does a decent chunk of damage. So as with the teleports come down, high alert see that they've taken some resources away from the L9 team and will just move off the Baron, but immediately Legacy 9 starting up the Baron themselves.
Yeah, and I don't see a reason why they shouldn't just pull this. They have the range advantage, and because originally High Alert minions were the ones that pulled it, they've already taken a decent amount of damage. They've already used all their wards. There's just no way for them back into this fight. So easy Baron pickup for Legacy 9, and they got that so fast. The team is so good at burning these Barons that they can still walk down and contest this Dragon. This does not have to be a trade for them, and it looks like they don't want it to be either. They want to contest everything. They want to fight for everything. And if they're able to bring this out, it could be big.
Oh, and they find the charm onto the Nautilus. Memer 6 taken down immediately, and another pick comes through. Vacant Tech deleted as Rigor Mortis goes unstoppable. There's only 3 members left of the high alert minions, and that's not nearly enough to be able to contest this Drake. Soul point to Legacy 9.
And again, another fast 2 kills going over to Legacy 9 and another objective going towards them. They have 3 Chemtech Dragons. The healing and shielding is, I mean, it's nice. I don't think too many of them really use that. It's just going to be mostly the shielding coming in from the Ambessa, maybe a little bit coming in from the Rel, but once they get the soul, that's going to be incredibly impactful for them in these fights. But look like they may be looking for an earlier fight as Rigor Mortis getting run down a little bit by Less Force from the side. But it's still going to be mid-tier 2, which again, even more gold going over to Legacy 9. And now they're just going to group up with R19, who's been setting up a bot wave. And actually, there was still the tier 1 there. So there's a lot of standing gold for them to pick up as tier 1 in the top lane is available too. They can get a massive advantage just off of this one Baron.
Yeah, obviously getting that standing gold from the tier 1 would be quite nice, but don't exactly have the easiest time being able to push in this tier 2. Now down to half HP. They're trying to potentially find a way in, but with just about everybody here on a high alert minions, it's not exactly the easiest dive in the world. You have to keep in mind, Cuddle Blair does have access to Featherstorm and R19, the targets. They're not quite much able to follow up. Pull back, not pulling anyone on Legacy 9, but still very dangerous moments. Everyone in such short range, but I think we might just get a quick moment to breathe now as the recalls come through of Legacy 9.
Yeah, and I think the Baron timer is about to end. They could have looked to push one more wave, but I think considering high alert minions, they managed to get the priority there. They managed to move up a little bit away from the turret. There's no reason for them to force it. It is just a tier 2 at the end of the day. And I mean, their gold lead now, over 6k favoring Legacy 9. They still have such a massive gold advantage. They have the extra dragons. They gave up the first 2, but that didn't end up mattering because they were just able to secure every single one after that. And now the next Baron going to be up in 3 minutes Dragon as well. Actually, very similar timing for that. So that could be interesting later on, but we may be in for the 3 minutes of doom, as LS calls it, as both teams just going to be farming up, just going to be trying to hit their next item timings before these next objectives spawn. But during this time especially, I would like to see high alert minions looking for some kind of plays. Potato Senpai not going to be the choice for that. Spirit Rush is available, so definitely not the easiest target. As we're actually seeing a lot of members from Legacy 9 starting to group up to the top side. And this tier 1 should be free for them if they just show up with members.
Yeah, they're looking for a little bit more than just a tier 1. Dream to me looks to be the target, but it's not quite finding the mark as Living Phoenix now going to be moved onto from high alert minions, but just not nearly enough damage. And so in time, that will certainly be the top lane tier 1 going the way of L9.
Yeah, and they're just using their gold lead right now really effectively. They know that this should be their top tier 1. So they're just kind of running straight at whoever. I don't think it even matters who they're running at. As long as they're not near a turret, they're gonna be good targets.
Oh,
As
the charm finds its way down onto Kettle but does have access to the Feather Storm, will recall them up. The stuns find their way onto multiple targets. Potato Senpai is the target. That's a shutdown going to the side of the Zaya. And now the rest of L9 may have stepped a little bit forward, but Rigor Mortis does get the reset. Cuddlebear taken very low, but not quite taken down. But R19 in the backline won't matter as there's so much more damage available to him. But Death Realm sent to the Rel. Vacant Tech getting that kill. Dead botting very low. The Obliterate not quite finding the Kaisa. The pullback, neither. Void Seeker going to be able to get the kill. And that will be an ace to L9, but it was a very good effort from High Alert Minions.
Yeah, and that was just the gold lead winning them that fight, and Rigor Mortis especially so close on 2 Heartbreakers, but Cuddlebear dodged the first one. That's why he was able to survive, and then Rigor Mortis still managed to get the reset off of Less Force, got a second Heartbreaker that Cuddlebear dodged, so wasn't able to get that third reset. So Cuddlebear kind of having Rigor Mortis' number there, but even with all that, because the rest of the team is still so far ahead, they were still just barely able to pull out that team fight victory for themselves, and that's going to be even more gold. Just a full Zhonya's from nothing purchase for deadbotting. That's going to be so much extra safety for their 707 Kaisa. I mean, we've been talking about Potato Senpai, but deadbotting has quietly amassed a massive lead as well. And they are just playing that front to back 80 carry. And the only real frontline threat right now is Vacant Tech. That's the only one that's had gold. As they are going to be grouping for this next dragon. Another team fight could be coming forward.
Oh, Charm finds its way onto Less Force, and now the target is the Trundle, but immediately the response shutdown getting picked up by Cuddlebear. It's a very good pick onto the enemy jungler. Dredgeline finds its way onto Living Phoenix, but that's not really the target you want to go for. Dream to Me going for it onto Potato Senpai, and now the public execution into the backline from R19 will force out the retreat of High Alert Minions as they're all quite low. The Charm finds its way onto the Nautilus. Potato Senpai gets that kill. The crash down with a Magnet Storm gets so much CC. It's another really good effort from High Alert Minions, but there's just too much gold for Legacy 9 as they complete the ace, only losing Rigor Mortis, and with a push in the mid lane, surely they'll be taking game 2.
I mean, that was effectively a 4v5. Rigor Mortis was not part of that fight at all. But again, deadbotting 8-0-10 now. Potato Senpai 6-1-15. 4-1-11. I'm just listing out numbers, but they're all good numbers. But the only number I think that matters at the end of this day is the one map that's going to be going over to Legacy 9, because they're going to be taking us over to a game number 3.
Yeah, it's a very good performance from Legacy 9. Admittedly, it did get a little bit spotty at the end there with a few good picks from High Alert Minions, but I mean, if you take a look at that gold difference, almost 11k up, I don't even think I need to specify more than that.
Yeah, I mean, that, and again, I think a big part of that is just that mid lane matchup. Dream Team just never really able to get a footing into the game, and I really, like I said at the start, feast or famine. And Dream Team wasn't able to feast, therefore Dream Team wasn't really able to do too much in the game, and that is kind of just the nature of Irelia, and especially in a competitive setting where everyone's on voice comms, everyone knows each other's styles, everyone knows each other's conditions. They know to just kind of play around this Irelia for both teams. They know that this Irelia, as long as she's not able to get solo kills on her Potato Senpai, even if she does get somewhat of a CS lead, that's completely okay. But they were just able to punish Dream to Me. Rigor Mortis had a few early ganks, and I think from then on, it just became way too difficult to fight on High Alert Minions. Other than the Vacant Tech, they were all just really behind for most of that game.
And so with that performance from Legacy 9, being able to close that out pretty comfortably, we'll be sending it to a break, and when we come back, we'll be bringing you the decisive Game 3 between High Alert Minions and Legacy 9. It's been a great start to the Blue Water Diamond League season this time around, so don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss it.
星に瞬きを伝えて守るものがあるからきっと強くなれる語るべき言葉なくした星の守りでは時の果て夢の果て闇に立ちすくんだ風を呼んでみたんだ空に向けて誰かを呼んでみたんだ光求めたソリチュードかすかなレゾナンス確かに届くロマンスそんな流れ星たちを抱き留めた明日が見えなくだって乗り越えなくちゃって奇跡の奇跡描き未来へつなぐ Growing High 心のフォトンが銀河にこぼれて道を強く照らす Burning Bright それぞれの思い秘めた星の守りでは空からの呼ぶ声に導かれた重ねる手と手には言葉なんかより伝わることがある熱い心通じ合った確かなレゾナンス見つけるのはエッセンス目指した意識の先がディスティネーション答えが見えなくてくじけそうになって支え合い誓い合う絆でつなぐシャイニースマイル心のフォトンが銀河に溢れて道を開く鍵は My Starlight Heart 明日が見えなくだって乗り越えなくちゃって奇跡の奇跡描き未来へつなぐ Growing High 心のフォトンが銀河に溢れて道が開いたら羽ばたいて行こうよ乗り越えて行こうよ星空と溶け合っていつまでも行ける Fly High まっすぐ願いを世界に歌って新しい夜を新しい朝を
And for the final time tonight, High Alert Minions will be taking on Legacy 9 here in Blue Water's Diamond League. And for better and for worse, Dream to me has really been the focal point of this series, Toki B.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, game one played an absolutely monstrous performance on that Mel. Was definitely a big reason why they were able to win that. But game number two played the Irelia, and as unfortunate as it is, as sad as it is, Irelia in competitive just way too hard to make it work. So they did end up going down. But we have a third game. Mel's going to be gone. Irelia's going to be gone. So it really just depends. I think both of these two teams are going to come in with new drafts. I think skill-wise, they're still quite even. Macro-wise, they're still quite even. So even this draft on its own could really showcase who's going to be able to take this home. And hopefully, if it isn't going to be done through the draft, we're going to have ourselves a really, really fun game three.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it, but the bans largely are staying the same. I'm going to assume that for Legacy 9, they're going to ban away the Lilia as they have done this whole series. The same 3 bans every single game coming through right this moment. And hold on, memory loss. It's been the Jax, the Gwyn, and why am I forgetting who High Alert have been banning?
I believe it was the Lucian. Yeah, and there it is going to be
there
as well.
Okay, yeah. Yep, exactly the same as we've gone through. Kind of one of the side effects of Fearless you see every now and then, but does mean Xin Xiao is open for Legacy 9 to take.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some of the main junglers. Jinx is going to be available, so that could be a very solid pick for High Alert minions. J4 is still available. I think does and do as well into Xin Zhao's other junglers, but should still be fine. Should still definitely be able to make some plays. I mean, realistically, you can pick Xin and J4 into basically anything, but they're going to lock in the
Ooh,
Ivern. Okay.
Ivern.
Now, this is
Oh.
a very interesting pick because Ivern in general has a very, very different jungle path compared to any other jungler in the game, just due to that passive, just due to having to set up camps before coming back to them. So it is a lot harder to track the Ivern going through the jungle. It's a lot harder to know where this Ivern's going to be ganking you from, at what timers. All of that is a lot more up in the air as opposed to someone more standard like the Xin Zhao, who at this point I think most players, especially Diamond and above, will just kind of intuitively know the timers, even if they couldn't say it out loud. But we're seeing pick number 2 coming in. It is going to be the Tristana, so does scale really well into the late game, but is definitely much more aggressive in the early game compared to the Jinx. So if they're able to pair it with something that can help start fights, that could be a really, really scary moment for the Jinx.
Yeah, and I mean, we still have a few champs available like that. For example, Leona is still up, but it does look like Aurora is the hover and will probably be the selection for Legacy 9. Once again, getting Dream to me one of their favorite champions.
Yeah, and Aurora, in my opinion, one of if not the strongest mid lane champion in the entire game right now. Doesn't have too many bad matchups, is incredibly strong in team fights, very solid at trading, hard to gank. I mean, Aurora right now, in my opinion, has too few weaknesses. She is a little on the short range side, but when you have an invis and a little hop, and obviously between worlds, very powerful ultimate ability, just I think that the weaknesses are very difficult to exploit on the side of Aurora. As another interesting pick, high alert minions just really seem to be bringing out a lot of the, I wouldn't say non-meta champions, but definitely lesser meta, something that we don't see too often with the Thresh. So it will provide a lot of peel for the Jinx, and the way things are going, this might just be a protect the Jinx composition. Now, one potential issue with that is if they don't have a lot of other damage and the Jinx does fall behind, it could just mean that their team comp completely collapses. So I would like to see a little bit of damage coming out from this mid and top lane as well.
Yeah, it's certainly something that'll have to come through, and also sometimes the issues with the Protect the Jinx comps is that if you don't have enough damage around to be able to set up the kills for the Jinx for her to get excited, to be able to get those resets, it sometimes just falls dead on arrival, in which Jinx auto attacks doesn't quite get the damage necessary to fully go off. So get through the second round of bans, hybrid minions targeting away the supports of Legacy 9. Meanwhile, L9 with their bans, I'm going to assume that's probably going to be more towards Dream to Me. Wait, I got that backwards. I had high alert and minions on red side. That's Dream to Me is not on Aurora. That's a takeaway. And so they take away. You know what? Anyway, that's the point. More takeaways onto Dream to Me from Legacy 9.
Yeah, I mean, getting rid of the Yona, getting rid of the LeBlanc Aurora as well. There's not going to be too much aggressive options left in the middle lane, but one thing I do want to comment on, because you were talking about the Jinx where she's just not able to deal damage even if you protect her. One of the saddest things that can happen as a Jinx player is you have the perfect team fight when you are behind, where you're able to free auto the entire time. Your team's peeling for you. No one's going down. You're just auto, but you don't kill anyone. And you run out of mana because Fishbones takes 20 mana per auto. And then no one on the enemy team's dead. And you're just so sad. But hopefully that will not happen to high alert minions as they lock in the Hui. So that is going to be another damage threat. And that's a pick I really, really like for them. As a Camille locked in for Legacy 9. So they're going to be diving the backline. I mean, you got Tristana, you got Xin Zhao, you got Camille. Aurora can follow in quite easily as well with Between Worlds. If they do get the Maokai support, which is, by the way, a very solid engage option. Leona is countered quite heavily by Thresh. That Flay can perfectly negate the Zenith Blade. You cannot negate the Twisted Advance. I really, really like this Maokai pick for Legacy 9. And I thought their draft was okay, but those last two picks really solidified it for me. I really like what Legacy 9 is doing here.
Yeah, not only is it one that can that ignores the flay from Thresh. It's also one that Living Phoenix is a really big fan of. Their most played champion in solo queue, which I believe they have like around a 60% win rate on. But we're talking about exciting picks. Urgot will be the choice for Vacant Tech.
All right, we got a Whippo enjoyer in the top lane there. At the very least, one of Whippo's champions, Urgot. And I'm actually not too sure about top lane matchups. If there's any failure I have as a color caster, and there's a few, top lane matchups are definitely one of the biggest ones. Now, I do believe in general, Camille scales quite well and will eventually be able to take over this matchup. But obviously, even though it is just a small ranged advantage, Urgot should be quite good into the Camille. And this is another damage threat that they have, because I do think Thresh, especially with an Ivern, is enough of a front line. Urgot's kind of that ranged bruiser in the top lane. This is also another really well-rounded draft from high alert minions. They have damage threat in the top side. I think this still is a protect the Jinx composition overall. You can also protect the Hui if you want, but realistically, you do want that on the marksman. But these are two really solid drafts with really solid identities. And these are my favorite games, because here you just get to see which style is better, which team is better, and who's going to be able to outplay each other mechanically. And I can't wait to see what the answer to those questions is.
Yeah, especially with Cuddle Bear, how we saw, even though High Alert Minions didn't have the best of times last time around, Cuddle Bear definitely did have the hands, especially in a few of those later fights, dodging out a lot of those abilities on the Xayah, managing to stay alive in situations where perhaps didn't quite expect them to. But, I mean, being able to put them on a champion like the Jinx, and given the resources around him, I want to see if Cuddle Bear does manage to be able to have that pop-off game that we were kind of denied of, considering how their performance compared to the rest of the team went in game 2.
Yeah, and I think this time around, having that reset fantasy, having that get excited thing going for Jinx, it's definitely doable. Because there are a lot of very squishy champions right now on the side of Legacy 9. I mean, the Maokai, not going to be super tanky because it is a support Maokai, so not going to have too much gold. Camille, not a tank in the top lane. If she's able to reach on her, we'll definitely be able to blow her up. Aurora, Tristana, all of them can blow the Jinx up if they're able to get to her. But it's kind of like how the matchups usually are with Jinx. If she's able to survive the initial burst, if she's able to dodge away from the initial engagement, she will be able to turn it around. And frankly, she should even be able to just run through all 5 of these members. So going to be a very, very interesting game this time around.
Yeah, and another one that I even though it may not necessarily be the most interesting, because we do see a lot of Xin Shao these days, it is very much as well kind of that style of champion that Rigor Mortis really likes to play with, the Viego or the Wukong. Even he has Volibear and Trundle in his lineup. It's one that just wants to get in there and fight as often as possible, and one that I'm personally looking forward to hopefully try to spur on and really, spur on the team of High Alert Minions.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the biggest.
Wrong way around. Again, my gosh. Wait a second. Hold on, guys. I remember who's on whose team. Anyway, but yes, for Legacy 9.
Yeah, and I think that Xin Zhao is one of the strongest enabling champions in the game. With a few solid early game ganks, especially I hope we'll be targeting the mid lane and the bot lane, because you want that Aurora to get online, you want that Tristana to get online as soon as possible, and if they get ahead, they can snowball those leads by themselves, so only need that initial little bit of start from the jungle. But I think the jungle matchup in general is going to be fun, because at the same time, there is the option of just invading onto the Ivern. Because in general, Xin Zhao should be able to win out in those 1v1s. So if you have priority coming in through lanes, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to just absolutely suffocate this Ivern, prevent him from even walking into the jungle. And again, those small leads grow to big leads, grow to win games. So if they're able to get that kind of push for them, Legacy 9 should be in a pretty solid spot.
Well, I guess suppose we'll just have to wait and see how this game 3 plays out. This deciding game of this first week here in Blue Otter Diamond. So we'll be right back on the Rift for the final matchup between High Alert Minions and Legacy 9. We'll see you in a little bit. right. We had to work around a few technical issues, but luckily we are back and can bring you Game 3 between High Alert Minions and Legacy 9. It's been an exciting series so far, full of twists and turns, but I mean, I said it once in draft, but Dream to me really has been the focal point of the series, Tokibi.
Definitely has been, but I'm wondering if this time around the focus is going to be on deadbotting and Cuddle Bear, because I think bot lane in this specific game is going to be so important when it comes to determining the winner. Now, one thing we did talk about is the fact that a good portion of this draft is kind of just protecting the Jinx. I mean, Thresh is one of the best peel supports in the game. You have the Ivern as well, so you have the Enchanter to pair up with it. But one point we didn't talk about is the fact that Camille is one of the best champions when it comes to breaking those kinds of compositions, because Hextech Ultimatum always going to be able to find its way on Cuddle Bear, and Cuddle Bear cannot leave the area. So unless they are able to just continuously keep R19 just completely blocked out, completely stun locked, they will be able to get on top of Cuddle Bear. And even if they are going to be able to do that with Camille, that also means that Potato Senpai, Deadbotting, Rigor Mortis, all of them will be able to get on top of this Jinx. So that's another potential threat that they do need to watch out for on Legacy 9.
Yeah, a lot of really big burst available to High Alert Minions. If they can find Cuddle Bear, as you mentioned, will be a very key point moving along. But I mean, still, once again, I still can't get the Dream to be performance out of my mind. It's stuck there, lingering in the back of my mind is what we can go through. But level 2 first, the bot lane death sentence looked like it did land, but we don't get much else from there in the 2v2.
Yeah, and I mean, just Jinx isn't really able to follow up in those kinds of plays early on. Once you get level 3, then you also have the Chompers. You are given a bit more time to get those auto attacks through, but even so, until you have the BF sword at least, the Jinx just not really going to be able to output too much threat for every one of those hooks. You will still be able to have a big trade. You'll still be able to just get those HP advantages, but definitely not going to be able to get that full all-in potential. But even so, if you're able to keep the Tristana low, that also means that Deadbotting's not going to be able to do an all-in either. Because that does work for the most part for Tristanas, but if you're at such a big health disadvantage, it makes it impossible to go in, because you will just be getting chomped on by the minions. Memer 6 and Cuddle Bear are going to be able to do damage over top. And this is going to be an exhaust coming in for Memer 6 this time around too, so a lot of potential threat when trying to dive onto them today.
Speaking of Memer sticks, I think I might hope to potentially see, hold on, R19, the target of Less Force, but you know, hook shot available, so it won't quite matter. But going back to Memer sticks, it is this Flay, and you'd be able to throw it onto Deadbotting as he's using that rocket jump, whether it be offensively to prevent the rocket jump away or defensively to prevent it going forward. It's one that's sometimes a little bit difficult to buffer, but certainly one that could very much interrupt the plans that Deadbotting may have in these fights.
Yeah, definitely. But at the same time, if Memer 6 does look for the death sentence and then flays back Living Phoenix, for example, that also means that Deadbotting will have absolutely zero threat from jumping in. So those are going to be cooldowns that need to be used very smartly. They need to be aware of what potential implications there are of using it, even if it, for the most part, is a good trade. So just something to keep in mind for both of these two bot lanes. As right now, no really significant leads being gained anywhere. I think in general, Potato Senpai has been dealing a lot more damage to Dream to me in the mid lane, but at the same time, that has been at the cost of those minions. So Dream to me definitely up in CS there. And jungle start has been pretty slow. Now, I do think that's pretty okay for Ivern. You don't need to play fast. I did get a gank over in the top lane, but obviously the hookshot just able to escape immediately from there. But when you're Rigor Mortis, when you're on the Xin Zhao, you definitely want to try and make something happen a little bit earlier. You're not like the Wukong. You don't need the level 6 advantage to be able to kind of make a play happen. You're more than capable of getting a gank off earlier. But I think the main issue right now is there's just no good lane to go for Rigor Mortis, so kind of forced to.
Missed, but a good Flay prevents the Q back from Living Phoenix. And actually, it turns out being a relatively even trade in terms of support health bars.
I'd even argue that still favors High Alert there because Living Phoenix does have that passive, going to be able to heal back up. And Cuddle Bear, like I was kind of mentioning before in the draft, used all of their mana just trying to get that extra range with the fish bones. So once that's gone, the Jinx is going to be much smaller of a threat, not going to be able to push in the waves as hard. She kind of loses a lot of her identity if she's not able to utilize fish bones in lane. Now, I do suspect both of these bot laners are going to be resetting, though. Rigor Mortis actually going to be using this priority to take the dragon, and we have seen both teams kind of perform this play. Just get full prio in the bot lane, send your jungler over to the dragon, take that, then reset. And, I mean, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. It's worked before, and it definitely worked again here.
Yeah, I mean, High Alert have, I believe, in the first 2 games were the ones that got the first 2 Drakes. Both times showing the priority on this objective, as you mentioned, with Cuddle Bear running out of mana. It doesn't mean that they lost the ability to really push in that wave. So early objective, they have High Alert minions, but we've seen this story once before, and even though it takes a while for these leads to go either way, despite the first objective going the way of High Alert, it is a marginal, extremely marginal gold lead to the side of Legacy 9.
Yeah, definitely. But one thing I am noticing right now that I think especially Vacant Tech will want to have happen is get a reset on this Urgot, because right now we're already at 7 minutes. This is going to be a very late call coming in for Vacant Tech here. Not really going to be able to utilize it too much to its fullest advantage just because of how late it started channeling those 100 CS, but looks like because of that, Vacant Tech is going to skip it altogether. I'm a little bit surprised about that. I think it's still worth it just to get, because for anyone who doesn't know, Cull is one of the single best items on Urgot. Because of that W, because of that massive attack speed, you heal for 3 off every single one of those procs. So it makes trading in lane a lot easier. It makes it a lot more in your advantage. And especially when you hit that level 9, when you're able to thread through those extra autos in between, it just makes you such an absolute monster in lane.
Oh, what do you mean? I forget the 5 ability haste item, the moat or whatever. It's clearly worth. Either way, speaking of Vacant Tech, there is members in this top side from High Alert mains. It will be the Hextech Ultimatum dropping Vacant Tech now only being able to flash away, but it won't be enough as Rigor Mortis on the charge will get the first blood.
Yeah, that's a huge kill to get. Vacant Tech just used his TP. Not going to be able to get back in lane anytime soon. It was a roam. It does mean the dead botting got weak-sided for a little bit, and the wave definitely not in the best spot for it. Tristana passively pushes lanes forward just due to the nature of how her E works. But I think this is still definitely worth it for Ham. But if dead botting survives, which Rocket Jump going to be there in time, no huge threat there. Because not only does it give them a couple plates, it denies a lot of minions from Vacant Tech. It denies a lot of XP from Vacant Tech. And it's also going to give the grubs over to High Alert. So they're just winning quite hard on this.
Yeah, you're going to be able to get that extra objective. And now as Living Phoenix arrives in the bot lane once again. Hold on, Death Sentence finding his way into Potato Senpai. But, you know, numbers disadvantage would be a not wise choice to really move in on that second cast of the Death Sentence. As you mentioned, all objectives to the side of High Alert, and they're feeling quite alright, but if there is something going the way of Legacy 9, it is Dream to Me in this mid lane, having about a 10 CS advantage. Also, from that first recall, was able to get the Lost Chapter as well, feeling like a really good item for them to pick up as a first one.
Yeah, definitely. And now, play going on to Living Phoenix. They're not going to be able to accomplish too much. The Chompers just were not there in time. But again, they're still getting a lot of poke, and they're utilizing this range. And unfortunately, dead bonding starting to fall behind because of that play that was in the top side. And now Cuddle Bear has that BF sword. So all of those extra hooks, all of those extra plays, actually going to be able to accomplish something there as another Death Sentence just barely going to miss out coming in from Memer Sticks as... Yeah, the plays are starting to get really, really close across the map. And even though Vacant Tech was attacked early on, did get killed, the overall gold lead's still not going to be there, but now playing the bot lane.
Oh, the Twisted Advance drops its way down onto Cuddle Bear, and the Buster Shot moves him even further away from his support. Can't quite get to the Lantern in time, and that's a second kill to Legacy 9.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to see them do earlier on. But even right now, 10 minutes not too late as
Memer 6 now the target as Rigor Mortis has arrived, looking for the third kill, looking for the feats of warfare, which will be given as Deadbotting picks up the kill, flashing forward. Potato Senpai going between worlds to slow down the escape of Less Force. That's a 4th kill unanswered to Legacy 9 as the Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't find anyone.
Yeah, there were so many low targets for them to pick off, but unfortunately, Super Mega Death Rocket just gonna sail away off to the next map. So it is going to be the one extra auto is gonna come in. I believe it was the Zap coming in from Cuddlebear. Gonna get the shutdown on a Rigor Mortis. So at the very least, they do get something back, and it is on the Jinx, which is pretty big. But at the same time, Deadbotting was sent so far behind, now going to be 2-0-0. Has that full collector completed, so definitely going to be looking to chain more and more kills into this. As we have swapped the overlays back, we are going to be on the correct teams here. Legacy 9 over on the blue side and High Alert Minions over on the red side. But that is going to also be their first... That is going to be their Feats of Warfare going over to Legacy 9. And with the one dragon, with the grubs, they're getting pretty close to feats of monster slaying as well. So they just need to be able to get one more of these objectives, and they're going to have feats of strength as Dive getting set up in top.
Tech is going to be in a bunch of trouble. Rigor Mortis also arriving to the top lane to be able to claim this Urgot. The heal from the redemption comes down. Can't keep him alive long enough. The R19 from the tower shot will be able to trade that around, and Dream to Me and Less Force has arrived. The dive not quite as it seems. Double kill for Dream to Me.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a very well set up dive, but it took them a little bit too long to get going, and they need to be a little bit aware that Less Force is playing on that Enchanter, so they're going to be able to get those heals coming through across the map as perfect timing on the recall. Could have definitely been a little bit spicy there, but will end up being okay. Hexflash coming forward, though.
Hexflash, Twisted Advance, the Flay not quite finding the mark. Cuddlebear, the target, and there's nowhere for this Jinx to go. Deadbotting getting another kill. We said we wanted to see a lot of focus in this bottom lane, and it looks like Deadbotting is looking to take over this game. Memer Sticks now the target. A bit of an early death sentence, but a good Flay to stop the advance, but it won't quite matter. Actually, hold on. The tower shots are enough, and with the shields from the Ivern is enough to be able to at least get the shutdown onto Deadbotting, but it will go its way onto Less Force.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I really like the fact that Deadbotting is just absolutely trying to shut down Cuddlebear. When you're a Tristana, when you're ahead, this is what you need to do. If it's a scaling AD carry, you jump them. If it's an aggressive AD carry, guess what? You still jump them. If it's a mage, an APC in the bot lane, but you're ahead, your job is to jump them. Because that's just what Tristana does. That's what Tristana is very, very good at. Once she's able to get ahead, she's one of the best snowballing AD carries in the game, especially when it comes to lane dominance. You're able to shove those lanes, you're able to get those kills, and then you're also able to absolutely explode the towers. So I love that Deadbotting is doing that, even with that trade as potentially Rigor Mortis just going to be walking forward.
Oh, Living Phoenix is also here. We'll be able to get the Twisted Advance off. Deadbotting going to use a rocket jump over. Memer Sticks healing up with the redemption. Will it be enough to stay alive? The Flay brings Rigor Mortis under tower, but it's not quite enough. Deadbotting hit by the Super Mega Death Rocket, but it just barely doesn't have enough damage. That will be a really good pick from Legacy 9.
Yeah, and just continuing those kills, 5, 1, and 0 on Deadbotting. Now, unfortunately, it is quite low HP, does not have the lifesteal really built up yet, so will be forced to recall there, but this Tristana really starting to get ahead. And I said, bot lane is the lane that matters this time around. That's where the focus is going to be coming in from both of these two teams, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And well, I said it all before as well, Rigor Mortis just needs to get Deadbotting ahead, and then Deadbotting and Living Phoenix can do the plays themselves, and that's exactly where they're at. So at this point, especially if you want to be an L9 fan, you want to see Rigor Mortis start playing towards the top lane. Because at this point, Deadbotting and Living Phoenix, they are fine. They will be able to make their own plays. So now if you're able to get R19 ahead, if this Camille becomes ahead, she will absolutely dominate onto the Urgot as well. And especially in those 2v2s, in those potential 3v3s where the support comes up as well, as we are seeing that since the Rift Herald has spawned up there, they are absolutely going to be able to make things happen.
That will almost certainly be the Rift Herald getting claimed by Legacy 9, which will also be the feats of strength getting picked up unless Lest Force. They'll know he's there. The snare finds its way onto Living Phoenix, but the
Yeah, it's
Herald
too late.
is so low. Yep, that's going to be feats of strength to L9. But it doesn't look like High Alert wants to give this up. Okay, well, actually, they are.
Yeah, they're going to be trying to walk forward, but there's nothing really for them to grab here. They brought all of their members. In fact, Cuddle Bear walking up here. So they're just leaving Potato Senpai alone in this bottom lane. It's going to force out a TP as well. Dream to be going to be forced to match it that way and immediately gets taken down to half HP. So a really solid map movement coming out from Legacy 9, but at the same time, that was also a little bit sloppy coming out of High Alert minions. Just kind of putting in too many resources into a play that was realistically never going to succeed. So definitely going to be a little bit rough for them, but they're still only down 1k gold. Deadbotting is really strong, but if they're able to take them down with Memer Sticks.
Memer Sticks in trouble, taken low, taken not down, as there's a lot of shielding available. Death Sentence finds its way onto Rigor Mortis, but doesn't take any damage with the ult being used. Daisy taken down, but no other lives claimed.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the depressing thing about being the Jinx carry. You do 0 damage in a Crescent Guard, and there's no one that's really able to pull the Jins out into you with all of their CC. And I mean, Rigor Mortis was stuck sitting there for like 6-7 seconds and took 0 damage essentially from it. It was realistically just the flay from Memer Sticks. That was it. And because of that, they just cannot approach this dragon. It's going to be the second dragon of the game going over to Legacy 9, and they can just chain them to the bot lane.
Oh, and they move on to Dream to Me, who's deleted. We barely see him at any time. The teleport comes down from Vacant Tech, but Less Force is here to give him some protection. That's going to be the Fear Beyond Death finding its way onto Rigor Mortis, getting the Fear onto Living Phoenix with the flash. Not quite enough damage to get much else, but the rest of Hyler are here. Super Mega Death Rocket takes a decent chunk out of Potato Senpai, ensures that they have to back out and escape. But with all the recalls coming through, that'll probably be the bot lane tier 1 going the way of High Alert minions.
Yeah, but they brought so many members to ultimately get the 1-for-1 trade for the side of High Alert minions. During this time, Deadbody just free hitting onto the mid lane turret. Wasn't able to finish it, but it's incredibly low. And at the same time, R19 able to trade out those tier 1 turrets. So again, overall, the map movement still favoring Legacy 9. It's all these really small advantages. They're all really small little leads that they're able to get for themselves. But every single time you get a small lead, your small lead grows. And that's exactly what's happening right now for L9. Because at this point, because of that solo turret, R19 going to have a lot of gold. Camille scales quite well into the late game. The fact that this mid tier 1 is so low means that this could also be a very reasonable target as boom, gonna be gone. And they could probably continue chasing this if they want, but it looks like they're just going to roam this down into the bot lane. Let's see how good the driving is.
Rigor Mortis does make the target and actually does his best Max Verstappen impression going through the jungle. That will be all the tier 1s down on the side of High Alert minions, offering a lot of room for L9 to start moving into High Alert minions territory.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to continue pushing this in. I mean, that's a lot of standing gold that they just claim for themselves. 2 tier 1s. It's 500 gold each, I believe. So that's just going to be spread across the entire team. Rigor Mortis is going to be taking a decent chunk of that as well, since he was the driver of the Rift Herald there. And now we're starting to see a lot of bounties starting to appear. And surprisingly, Potato Senpai has the biggest bounty. 102 on the Aurora, has been farming decently well this entire game. I do believe it's mostly because Deadbotting has had that death earlier on. Probably already gave up a little bit of that earlier bounty. So there are options for High Alert minions if they're able to get a pick. But again, when your team comp is about protecting these late game scalers and those late game scalers are behind, it makes it so difficult to be able to make a play. It's one of those team compositions. You're allowed to fall behind, but you're not allowed to fall behind in a way where you can no longer make plays. And that's kind of the situation they're in.
Yeah, Cuddle Bear sitting only on an item and a few components, and now the Hextech Ultimatum from behind will catch out the Jinx. The Between Worlds gets dropped, but Potato Senpai is killed immediately. Won't quite matter as it's traded back just in time from Legacy 9, so 1-for-1 so far. But importantly, Cuddle Bear and, oh wait, Nemur Sticks was also deleted so quickly that I didn't even see. So actually the 2-for-1 going the way of Legacy 9. And they're feeling quite all right with the numbers advantage to move straight onto the Otacon.
Yeah, and I think with the Jinx gone, there's no reason why they can't just take this. It will be traded for the tier 1 of the top lane by Vacant Tech, but if they're keeping track of those TP timings, they know it's not going to be available for Vacant Tech, so they're just going to be able to take this objective for themselves. And it's just going to increase their burst damage. We saw right there, they threw everything onto Cuddle Bear to keep them alive, and it wasn't enough. They're not going to have too many extra tools in this next fight. However, the damage is going to increase substantially on the side of Legacy 9 for that same fight. So it's going to become even scarier now, especially for Cuddle Bear, especially with that barrier being down. Now, at the same time, the gold lead overall still has shrunk a little bit from that fight just because the turret was there. They did manage to get a kill over on the side of high alert minions. But again, the game's starting to lose. They're kind of losing their trajectory right now on high alert. There's really not too much they can do. But the fact that they're able to slowly but surely extend this game, eventually Cuddle Bear will get to a state where they can just carry this game. And with 2 items completed, all they need is just 1 more, whether it's going to be the Infinity Edge, whether it's going to be the Lord Dominic's or some other armor shredding item. I think it doesn't matter, because at that point, then Cuddle Bear can start playing, but they still need to let this Jinx get 1 full item.
Oh, wait, I'm seeing a teleport down from Potato Senpai, trying to potentially find a flank.
They don't have wards on that
onto
side.
The back line? No, they don't, so it'll be a bit of a difficult situation for High Alert to navigate. They won't know Potato Senpai's whereabouts. I'm going to guess they probably knew that a teleport came down and is waiting somewhere in the wings to be able to find a pick onto this Jinx, but Cuddle Bear a bit isolated. Potato Senpai not quite having the full knowledge, goes between worlds and will try to find a way in. Cuddle Bear's a bit far behind, but the Fear Beyond Death drops down. That's a first kill to the side of High Alert minions, and now Cuddle Bear's excited. A triple kill for Cuddle Bear, not quite a quadra kill as it goes away of less force, but that is an ace for High Alert minions, and that is exactly what this High Alert minions team needed to be able to get back into this one.
And they just turned this game completely around. Just 1 massive team fight. And that was a solid flank from Potato Senpai. That was a good Nature's Grasp coming out from Living Phoenix. But Dead Botting was never able to join in on the fight. And that's where all their gold is on the side of Legacy 9. And now, just like that, you've given so many kills over to Cuddle Bear. 2.5k gold sitting.
Yeah.
I was saying, being able to get that 3rd item is going to be really difficult. And I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to delay the game long enough. I wasn't expecting that they only need to delay the game another 1.5 minutes. Because Cuddle Bear has a BF sword, has a pickaxe going straight through into that Infinity Edge. And once they're able to get that, they're going to be able to absolutely shred them. And I also gotta say, just the fact that they fought in one of those major choke points, it makes Hui and Jinx deal so much damage. Every one of those explosive legs coming out of the Urgot just hitting onto everyone. It was the single perfect team fight that High Alert could have looked for. And all of a sudden, they have the gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time this game, Dream to Me might be in a little trouble. Will be able to dodge out Rigor Mortis for a little bit longer. Gets the fear onto the enemy jungler. It's only taking down to half HP, and now the response from a High Alert is to send 4 members to the top side of this map, but I don't believe they'll be able to find anything else.
Yeah, we'll be forced to bang out for now, but they could redive if they don't think anyone else is there. But Less Force is on the way, going to, at the very least, be shadowing behind Dream to Me. So if they do try to go for the dive, they will definitely get traded back in the best case. But meanwhile, over in the bot lane, I'm just trying to look at the objective. So Baron's going to be spawning at about 30 seconds, Dragon not for 3 more minutes. So there's not too much for these 2 teams to fight over quite yet. Both sides do have marksmen that can shred through this Baron, but it's still going to be difficult to find the opening to take it, because while it is going to be fast, it's not going to be that fast so you can just quickly sneak it away unless the other team's just really, really not paying attention. But mid lane priority still being gained bit by Legacy 9, but just going to be brute force back by High Alert. And it looks like Legacy 9, they're starting to be a little bit scared of the composition coming out from High Alert. And now we're seeing Cuddle Bear start channeling the recall. And I think this might be the Infinity Edge
Surely
completed.
has to be.
And if that's the Infinity Edge completed, this is going to be the turning point for this composition. Once your Jink is online, that's when this composition becomes very difficult to play into. And yeah, Infinity Edge right there. Now, if you're a Legacy 9 fan, you gotta be sweating a little bit, because if they're not able to find a meaningful pick before these fights, if they're just fighting a standard 5v5, the stats will be favoring high alert minions. They will be able to put out more damage. They will be able to get out the kills faster, and more importantly, they're not going to be going down because they still have a protection comp.
Speaking of picks, it might find its way onto Living Phoenix, who does have to flash away from the Flame Chompers. So no Summoner spell available to Living Phoenix, as he also used the Ignite, a bit panicked in that exchange. So it's a decent pick from Hyler to reduce the tools that L9 have, but Dream to Me in trouble. Will use the Hextech ultimatum down onto the Sway. R19 getting the pick in the bot lane onto Dream to Me, and now a numbers advantage to L9 for the next 40 seconds, but the Baron is on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, and that's what they should be doing right now, just trying to find picks. Any pick is good for them, because if they're lowering the damage, if they're making it harder for Cuddlebear to get excited, then they can start taking more fights. And they didn't really use too many major cooldowns there. They did use the Hextech ultimatum from R19, but right now R19 is just going to be able to push in the turret instead. So bit by bit, they are going to be getting a bit more pressure. They're going to force Vacant Tech to come answer this. And because of that, they're going to be short-handed for the rest of the map there. But again, without any major objectives being up except for Baron, which is still way too difficult to take with only one pickoff, they're not going to be able to get much else for it. But at the very least, maybe they can delay enough for Dead Botting to get his Infinity Edge, because right now, Cuddlebear actually has the item advantage.
Yeah, I mean, outside of those really early kills that Dead Botting was able to get, he was really hasn't been able to keep up with the farm that Cuddlebears managed to pick out for themselves. As mentioned, looking to get an Infinity Edge of his own will be a pretty significant power spike from Dead Botting once he gets it. So definitely something to look forward to, Legacy 9, if they can be able to get that before any potential big fight comes around. But the next Drake is spawning in less than 15 seconds, and it does seem to be in the targets of high alert minions.
Yeah, I mean, both teams definitely going to be wanting this dragon. It is not going to be the completed soul, but it is going to be soul point. And yeah, like you said, Dead Botting with that fully completed Infinity Edge, going to be ready for this fight. The item timings are pretty good for both these two teams. 2.5 items for most players. Going to be 3 completed items for Vacant Tech, Dead Botting, and Cuddlebear. And I think that's where it's going to come through.
19 spotted. The option to go in from Legacy 9 comes through early, but the Fear Beyond Death drops down, but it's immediately traded back by Memer Sticks. This Camille has nowhere to go. R19 taking down. The Crescent Guard will try to split up the members of High Alert minions, but it's not enough. That flash forward from the Urgot gets the flip, and that's the ace for High Alert minions, plus the Drake, and probably the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think they're just outscaled. The way any Protect team comp works is you're incredibly, incredibly weak in the early game. But if you're able to get past that, if you're able to get a little bit of a lead, you are going to be able to absolutely take over that game. And again, this is the triple damage threat that I was talking about earlier. Vacant Tech putting out so much DPS in that fight. The Cuddlebear just being such a nuisance as well. And this time around, they tried bursting down less fours because they realized this Enchanter especially has so much healing, so much shielding for the team. So they thought, hey, if we remove the Ivern, maybe we can take everyone else out. But the issue with that is, at this point, Dream to Me and Cuddlebear and Vacant Tech, all three of them, have so much damage that by the time you are able to take down the Ivern, which they weren't even able to do, the rest of your team's going to be gone. And that's the situation they're in right now. I think it's really gotten to the point where Legacy 9, they need to get a pick before a fight starts, because 5v5s just ain't going to work for them.
Yeah, they do have quite a few tools available to that for them in that regard, though, between the hook shot and, you know, Xin Shao just being able to dash forward, Tristana following from a distance. A lot of bursts available to Potato Senpai, so even though it's not exactly the easiest ask for this Legacy 9 team, they definitely do have the options available to them to be able to potentially get these picks, to be able to maybe stop the slide away that this game has seen.
Yeah, and I do think they still have options. And I think most of it is going to be attacking those side lanes. trying to take out either Vacant Tech or Dream to me. If you send even 2 members, because I think R19, yes, is 1 and 4, but already has 2.5 items. You bring a second player with them, they're going to definitely be able to win out on those fights. And Camille is very strong in the late game, deals so much damage, has a ton of healing. It's just going to be a nightmare to deal with. And because they do have those feats, once those upgraded boots are going to come through, R19 is actually going to be really strong into Vacant Tech. And I think that's where I'd like to see Legacy 9 just put their focus in, because at this point, Dead Botting has been outscaled. They do not have a Protect the Tristana composition. All they really have is a Tristana who can help get those picks, but is not going to be the main carrying those team fights. However, Camille can still turn into that side lane threat that's going to be able to absolutely take over games, but instead, right now, it is still going to be that Baron push coming in, and High Alert minions just going to brute force their way into the bot lane. And it looks like Legacy 9, they don't even want to contest this. They're not even trying to push out the waves, and they have terrible wave clear right now on their champions. It's all short range. It's all high risk if you want to hit any kind of those minions. And with that, they may even have to give up this tier 3.
Yep, tier 3 bot lane now down to half HP with the next wave moving in. Death Sentence not quite hitting its mark, but it won't quite matter. Tier 3 down, and the choppers find their way. Cuddle Bear gets excited, getting the pick onto Potato Senpai. And so now it's going to be retreat for Legacy 9 to try to regroup and be able to find one final fight, but they're down numbers for this one, trying to poke and prod their way in to be able to get a pick, preferably onto one of these carries. Dream to me seems to be the target of Rigor Mortis, but won't quite find the mark, and Living Phoenix immediately leaded, trying to move their way in on the Twisted Advance. 2 more kills go the way of High Alert minions as they just march their way to the victory here in Game 3, picking up their first series of the season.
Yeah, really, really well played by High Alert minions. They play their team comp to perfection, and they did fall behind in the early game. And I'd even argue that they fell too behind in the early game. I do think there was a moment where Legacy 9, they definitely had the opportunity to just take over the game. Deadbotting was super far ahead, 5-1 on the Tristana. They had a lot of aggressive plays, and all of it really came down to the one team fight in that topside blue jungle of High Alert. Because once they walked in there, they were in this tiny little corridor, and then just everything over top going through. Jinxless free firing, yeah, the Super Mega Death Rocket, all of Hoy's abilities, Urgot, just explosive legs everywhere. After that fight, I think that's really where the game ended, because Legacy 9, they were just never able to really gain any kind of footing in the game again.
Yeah, it really was that inflection point where Cuddle Bear got the triple kill. They managed to inject themselves with so much gold, and really that's where it fell apart for Legacy 9. But really well played by High Alert minions to keep themselves in the game as long as possible, and once they did find that moment, they ran away with it. And yeah, just really overall solid from honestly both these teams in general. It's very tightly contested matchup in a very, very solid way, an exciting way to start off the Blue Water Diamond season.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I did have the criticism in game number 1 where I felt both of these two teams were kind of not playing to the identity of their drafts, but I think that might have just been game 1 nerves. I mean, it's the first game of the season. It's the first series of the season. You know, it's a little bit scary on stage. You're the streamed game as well. But games 2 and 3, I think both of these teams knew exactly what their team comps needed to do, and they played it accordingly. Now, obviously, there's always going to be some skill difference. Someone's going to have to win in the end anyway. There's always going to be someone that falls behind. But the fact that they know how to play their team comps, they are playing organized, leads me to believe that both of these rosters can be very solid rosters going further in the season. So definitely going to be looking forward to see where both of these two teams end up.
And we'll just have to wait and see. But until next time, that will be it from us tonight here on the Blue Otter League stream. I've been Isaac. Alongside me has been Toki B. Working things behind the scenes has been Loki. And thank you for tuning in for this series, and have a good night.